However, the position that I'm representing, again, just to remind the viewers at home, is that I'm with you that we shouldn't rebel against an oppressive Muslim ruler, and that it is better to have patience. However, it is a matter where there is a legitimate, valid difference of opinion, and that difference of opinion is based on what we're going to be discussing in the next few minutes or a couple of hours, which is the companions rebelling. I have examples of what I believe the companions are rebelling, the Salaf rebelling, and even many quotes from different books talking about the Salaf rebelling and how they understood those things. So we are going to go into each of these things in detail. What do you have to say at the start, just an introduction before we get into the different rebellions?
Shahid, what I want to speak about is this mas'ala, that there's a khilaf which is sa'ir. Going against the oppressive Muslim leader is a mas'ala which is, it's a khilaf which is sa'ir.
Yeah.
Yani it's a valid difference of opinion. You keep mentioning that.
Yeah.
Shahid, I want to say something. And inshallah ta'ala, I want you and also the viewers all really understand this point. It's very important for me because it's the foundation of my argument. The mawadi' al-ijtihad and the majalat, the places where ijtihad goes into, is the following. A issue which is dhanniyu thubut is speculative in how it's been transmitted to us. But it's qat'iyu dilala, the indication or the meaning that's taken from it is clear cut. So the way it came to us is speculative.
Okay.
Is it authentic or is it not? But what is it? Qat'iyu dilala, the indication in it is clear, crystal clear. And the example for that is the hadith fi khumusin shat. In the khumus, there's a shat. You have to give a shat, it's zakat. This qat'iyu dilala, the indication is clear cut.
Yeah.
Like there's no other. 5 is crystal clear. Everyone understands what 5 is. You can't understand anything else. Shat is also a known animal. It's crystal clear. The meaning is qat'iyu dilala. The indication is qat'i. Lakin it is dhanniyu thubut. Its authenticity can go under scrutiny.
Okay.
So then there's ijtihad that happens here in terms of its transmission. Then there's the second type, which is qat'iyu thubut. It's for certainty it's been established. It's authentically been transmitted with certainty. And it's crystal clear. But it's what? Dhanniyu dilala. But like in the indication in it and the meaning that is taken from it is speculative. It's not crystal clear. It can take hamalat that ujwa. It can take many interpretations. And an example for that is قوله تعالى والمطلقات يتربصن بأنفسهن ثلاثة قروء. Now this ayah of course hits قطعي الثبوت. No one's going to say it's speculative how it came to us. The Quran is mutawatir, right? So it's crystal clear the way it came to us. But what does قروء mean? Is it hayd? Is it tuhur? There's a dispute amongst the scholars. Which one does it mean? So this والمطلقات يتربصن بأنفسهن ثلاثة قروء. The scholars, they say it is خبرية لفظا إنشائية المعنى. So even though it's in a statement form, but it's a command. Okay? So, but what does quru' mean? There's a dispute back and forth. So the indication and the meaning that's taken from this is not clear cut. So okay, ijtihad enters which side now? The angle of how the ruling is taken, but not necessarily how it's been transmitted.
Understood.
The third one is, it is dhanniyu thubuti wa dilala. The way that it's come to us, the way it's been transmitted to us is speculative. There's ijtihad entering it. And also the indication and the way that the ruling is taken, ruling that's taken from this evidence is also again based on ijtihad. From both angles it is. And this is, for example, the hadith, لا صلاة لمن لم يقرأ بفاتحة الكتاب. So the hadith is not mutawatir, according to the scholars, or some of the scholars, it's not mutawatir. So from that angle, because it's not mutawatir, it is what? Dhanniyu thubut, speculative, if it's. Also, dhanniyu dilala, the indication in it is also speculative, because la salata, does here it mean la salata, la aslu salat, that asl salat doesn't exist? Or does it mean the kamal, the completeness of the prayer?
Right.
So this is speculative, what it means.
I see.
The fourth type in which there's ijtihad that takes place is when there is an issue, la nassa fihi, there's no textual evidence for it at all. Wala ijma', and there's no ijma' in the mas'ala. And then the scholars have to go to the adilla which is mukhtalafun fihi, the evidences which the scholars differ upon, meaning qiyas, istihsan, al-urf, sadd al-dhara'i', al-istishab, shar'u man qablana, al-istislah, this type of evidence that the scholars, يعني madhab ahl al-Madina, يعني Those are evidence which are mukhtalifun fi. So there's no evidence here, so they start doing those ijtihadat. I'm asking you a question, a straight question. I'm going to ask those who are watching as well. This issue, did I not prove that it's qat'iyu dilala, qat'iyu thubut, and there's an ijma' which is qat'i in the matter? Who can then come and say to me, this is khilaf sa'iq?
Yeah, it doesn't even enter the discussion of ijtihad because it doesn't fit into one of those four categories.
It does not fall in any of those categories. So how can you come and say there's a khilaf sa'iq? I prove to you that because I mentioned the evidence that came to us are what? Mutawatir. So the evidence is being mutawatir gets rid of dhanniyu thubut. It's not dhanniyu thubut. It's qat'iyu thubut. It's mutawatir. That's first. And then also it's qat'iyu dilala. The indication is crystal clear. I brought you clear-cut nusus of the Prophet ﷺ commanding the Sahabas, fasbir, be patient. وَإِن ضَرَبَ ظَهْرَكَ وَأَخَذَ مَالَكَ. Be patient. Like these crystal clear evidences. إِلَّا أَن تَرَوْا كُفْرًا بَوَاحًا عِنْدَكُم مِّنَ اللَّهِ فِيهِ بُرْهَانٌ. All those evidences which are all قَطْعِيُّ الدِّلَالَةِ. And to add on to that, I brought you an ijma', and ijma' are two types. There's an ijma' which is qat'i, and there's an ijma' which is dhanni. I brought you ijma' which is qat'i from 33 imams. There is any person who has mustard seed of knowledge would say, Ya akhi al-kareem, this mas'ala is ijma' and it's not mas'ala which is khilaf sa'iq. The poet, he said, وَلَيْسَ كُلُّ خِلَافٍ جَاءَ مُعْتَبَرًا إِلَّا مَا كَانَ لَهُ حَظٌّ مِّنَ النَّظَرِ. Something like that, the poet, he said. He said, وَلَيْسَ كُلُّ خِلَافٍ جَاءَ مُعْتَبَرًا. Not every difference of opinion that's mentioned to us do we say it's mu'tabar. يعني it's mu'tabar. إِلَّا خِلَاف, except a khilaf which is what? Except a matter which has another, has a right for us to look into. Because this mas'ala is based on dhanniyu thubut. Okay, mashallah, let's look at it. Or it's based on what? Dhanniyu dilala. So let's look at it. Or it's based on dhanniyu thubuti wa dilala. We look at it. Or there's no nas wala ijma'. We look at it. But because it doesn't enter any of that, what should come from us, inshallah ta'ala, with fairness, is to say, Akhi, this mas'ala is not khilaf sa'iq.
I think that's a very strong argument, but there's always going to be people who have in their minds that if it was that clear cut, the Salaf would not have fallen into this problem. If it was that clear cut, and obviously you said many times as well that we follow the religion the way the Salaf have followed it, and we understand the Nusus al-Wahyayn the way the Salaf understood it. So people have this in their mind that the Salaf rebelled, and that's where the khilaf is coming from. So that's something we're going to go in now. And I want to go in slowly, like we have been doing so far in this podcast, and do it in a lot of detail. And I want to talk first of all about the khuruj of Hussein ibn Ali radiyallahu anhuma. And this is really one of the strongest arguments that they bring forward. They say the grandson of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the leader of the youth in Jannah, he is the one who did khuruj against Yazid ibn Muawiyah. If he can do it, we can cling on to his opinion and we can say it's a valid difference of opinion. So I first want you to explain the history of the events that took place, and then I'm going to go into some of the arguments that I have for you, inshallah.
So inshallah ta'ala, let me mention the entire story.
Okay.
Until Hussein died.
Okay.
From the time of Yazid ibn Muawiyah coming into power, and I'm going to mention until Hussein died. It's going to be very lengthy, it's going to be long. Pay attention, inshallah ta'ala, and then we start taking the rulings from it.
Fine.
Yazid ibn Muawiyah was given the Khilafah when the year in Islamic history was the 60th year of the Hijriya. يعني سنة 60 من الهجرة. The 60th year of the Hijriya, Yazid was given bay'ah. He was appointed as the Muslim leader. And at that time, Yazid's age was 34 years of age.
Okay.
Yazid, the son of who? Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan. There were a group of people who chose not to give bay'ah to Yazid. They said, we're not going to give you bay'ah. From those people were Al-Husayn ibn Ali, the grandson of the Prophet ﷺ, and Abdullah ibn Zubayr. Both of them were in Medina. They refused to give bay'ah to Yazid. And when they were requested by Yazid to give bay'ah to Yazid, Abdullah ibn Zubayr, he said, أنظروا هذه الليلة. Let me look into this matter tonight. Okay? And I will tell you my opinion tomorrow. Okay? Or I will give you my opinion. So they said, okay, no problem. But when it was night time, he left Medina and he hid away Abdullah ibn Zubayr. And he went to where? He went to Mecca and he didn't give bay'ah. When they came to Hussein and they said to him, Hayya, what about you? Give bay'ah. He said, I am not going to give bay'ah privately. Hey, I'm going to give bay'ah in front of everybody. They said, okay, no problem. So in the morning, I'll see you guys, he said. At night time, he went away and he came right after Abdullah ibn Zubayr in Makkah. And you have to understand, they both did not see this man to be fit for the role. Abdullah ibn Zubayr and Hussein, and I'm not going to be focusing on Abdullah ibn Zubayr, I'm going to be focusing on Hussein ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu ta'ala anhu.
Because we're going to go into Ibn Zubayr afterwards, inshallah.
So Hussein ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib, Sibtu Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa rayhanatuh, the grandson of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he refused to give bay'ah to him.
Okay.
He went to Mecca, and when he went to Mecca, Yazid ibn Muawiyah is very upset. Why does Hussein not want to give me bay'ah? Why is he refusing to give me bay'ah? The people of Iraq, so there's a historical reality that needs to be seen and understood here. The people of Iraq, they were always connected to Ali ibn Abi Talib and his side of the family and his offspring. Remember when the whole issue happened, Ali was in Kufa between him and Muawiyah. So Ali was the leader, and his place was Kufa, right?
Yeah, his base.
So his base was Kufa, and the people of Iraq were acquainted with Ali ibn Abi Talib. But they deceived him. And then Hassan, the same thing, he was, for a very short period of time, he was there, and then he passed it over to Muawiyah, and he went to him and he said, look, you take over, I can't. I want all the Muslims to come together. I don't like this idea. So the people of Kufa, when Hassan ibn Ali passed it over to Muawiyah, and Muawiyah took over everything, they still have, they long for the Prophet ﷺ's family. So when they heard that Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu doesn't want to give bay'ah to Yazid, they started sending him letters.
The people in Iraq.
The people of Iraq.
Yeah.
And when they sent him the letters, they were saying to him, basically, we want you. We want you to come over to us. We want you to be with us. And we want you to stay with us. So they started sending him letters. We're going to give you bay'ah. We don't want, except you. There's nobody we want. There's no bay'ah of Yazid on our neck. The bay'ah is for you. So the letters became too much for Hussein. Until the narrations mention that the letters reached 500 notes. 500 books, kitab, that reached him. And they all came from the people of Kufa. They were calling him. So Hussein said, okay, you know what? I need to get to the bottom of this matter. He sent his cousin, okay, whose name is Muslim ibn Aqil. So Muslim ibn Aqil ibn Abi Talib. And so that's Ibn Ammi, right? So he's his cousin. And his name is what? Hussein ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib. So Aqil ibn Abi Talib and Ali ibn Abi Talib brothers.
Yeah.
So Muslim and Hussein are brothers. So they're cousins, sorry.
Yeah.
So he sent him. He goes, go find out the reality of the situation.
Okay.
Is this really the case? Is the people of Kufa, are they really telling the truth? Are these letters fake or is real? Go find out for me. Now I want you to understand, Hussein initially just didn't want to give bay'ah to Yazid. He didn't want to give bay'ah to Yazid.
Yeah.
Now he's in Mecca, letters are coming to him from the people of Kufa saying, please, we want you, come to us. So Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he sends his cousin, Muslim ibn Aqil, he goes, Muslim, go and find out. So Muslim ibn Aqil, he goes to Kufa, and he started to ask about it. Is it true that you guys really want Hussein? Are you guys serious about Hussein? Muslim ibn Aqil, he came to the house of a man by the name of Hani ibn Urwa. He stayed with him in Kufa. That was the house he stayed in, and that's where he did his operation from. The people started to come in numbers. All of them were giving bay'ah to Muslim Aqil. Bay'ah, they leave the bay'ah. On behalf of who? Al-Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Ajma'in. May Allah be pleased with all of them. The governor of Kufa on behalf of Yazid was who? An-Nu'man ibn Bashir, this noble companion. He was the Amir of Kufa for Yazid ibn Muawiyah. When the matter reached him, An-Nu'man ibn Bashir, that Muslim ibn Aqil is amongst them and that the people are coming to him and they're giving bay'ah on behalf of Hussein, what did An-Nu'man ibn Bashir do? He pretended that he didn't hear the issue.
Okay.
Nu'man ignored it. Nu'man ibn Bashir ignored the matter as though he never had anything. And he didn't give much weight to it. Until some people, they left Kufa and they went to Yazid ibn Muawiyah. And they informed him of what's taking place. And that the people are going to Muslim ibn Aqil and they're giving bay'ah to him. And that Nu'man ibn Bashir, he's not giving importance to this great matter. So they complained to Yazid ibn Muawiyah. When the matter reached Yazid ibn Muawiyah, he commanded Ubaydullah. First he told Yazid, he told Nu'man ibn Bashir, step down from your position.
Okay.
You're no longer going to be the governor of Kufa. No, I'm not going to give you this. And he sent Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad to Kufa. By the way, Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad was the governor of where? Basra.
Okay.
So he said to him, you need to take Basra and Kufa together and be the governor of both. And you need to solve this problem. So go to Kufa now, solve this problem and go back to running both of Kufa and Basra. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, at night time, he came to Kufa. He covered his face, put something on his face, and he was crossing by the people with his face covered, and he was saying to them, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And the people will say to him, Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ya ibnu binti Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The son of the daughter of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. They thought this man who's coming is Hussein. So he listened and then he realized that the matter is real and that these people are actually waiting for Hussein to just come. After that, Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad went to his palace. He called one of his slaves whose name was called Ma'aqil. He said, Ma'aqil, come here. I want you to find the matter. I want you to find out the reality of this matter. He said, go and get to the bottom of this issue. Find it for me. Who is behind this? What is the plan? Step by step, what's going to take place? I need you to bring me everything. So the man whose name is called Ma'aqil, he went to Muslim ibn Aqil. He took with him 3,000 dinar. He took those 3,000 dinar and he went to Muslim ibn Aqil. And Muslim Aqil, where was he staying? He was staying in the house of Hani ibn Urwa. That's where he was staying. He was staying in the house of Hani ibn Urwa. So he went to him with 3,000 in his hand. And then he said, I am a man from Hims. And I am giving you this 3,000 for Hussein. Radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. I want to help him. I'm part of the cause. So, and he gave bay'ah to Muslim Aqil on behalf of who? And he said, take this 3,000, use this money for what you guys need it. And inshallah ta'ala. And the man kept coming day after day to Muslim Aqil until the man learnt and understood the ins and the outs of what was taking place. He learned everything. The man went back to Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad and he told him the whole reality. He said, this is the plan, step by step, this is what's going to take place. Hussein ibn Ali, when the matter became established, many people gave bay'ah to Muslim ibn Aqil. He sent to Muslim ibn Aqil, said, you know what, Allahu Akbar, the people are real. I need to send a letter to my cousin Hussein ibn Ali. I need to inform him that this matter is real. So Hussein radiallahu anhu, he now left towards Kufa. He was informed by Muslim ibn Aqil, his cousin, that the people of Kufa are pleased with him. That the people of Kufa are happy with you and they're willing to give you bay'ah. The matter is all ready, just come. So Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he's now on his way. He wants to leave. When it was the day of Yawm al-Tarwiyah, this is another issue, which is Hussein radiallahu anhu didn't do Hajj that year. He left going to Hajj. It was a day of Tarwiyah, and he basically, Hussein ibn Ali, he left on that day, and Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad was aware of everything. And the matter was clear for him. He knew what Muslim Aqil was trying to do. So what did he do? He said, bring me Hani ibn Urwa. I need Hani ibn Urwa. So they brought Hani ibn Urwa to him, to Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. And Hani ibn Urwa is who? Is the man that Muslim ibn Aqil is staying with.
Okay, yeah.
So when they brought Hani ibn Urwa to Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, he said to him, Ayna Muslim ibn Aqil? Where's Muslim ibn Aqil? He said, I don't know. I don't know. So you don't know? He said, I don't know. What are you talking about? He denied it. He told Ma'aqil. He said, Ma'aqil, come here. Ma'aqil was the boy who came with the money, who gave it to Muslim ibn Aqil, and basically said, this is for Hussein. I am with you guys. Who kept coming and said I was from Hims.
Yeah.
That was the guy Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad sent, right, to infiltrate and get information for him. So as soon as he saw Ma'aqil, he said to him, do you know this man? And he said, I know him. He realized the matter is bis khalas. There's nothing to be done now. And he realized that the matter, it was always, all through this time, it was a deception. And they were being deceived. So Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad said to Hani ibn Urwa, he said to him, Hayya, where is Muslim Aqil? He said, Wallahi, if he was under my feet right now, I won't even lift it up for you so you know so you can see him. I wouldn't even do that. So Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad smacked Hani and he smacked him and beat him and lashed him, and he told him imprison him. So Hani was put in prison. The story reached Muslim Aqil. He found out that this is what happened. They took Hani. He got 4,000, because he's got bay'ah. Everybody gave bay'ah to him. He got 4,000 men, fully armed. He got them ready, and they sieged the qasr of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. 4,000 men, they quickly just sieged the whole palace. And Ahl Kufa went with Muslim Aqil, right? Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad was smart. When he first came to Kufa, he got close with and he befriended the chief leaders, the tribal leaders, and people of authority. And Ahlul Hal wal Aqd. He got them on his side. And Ashrafun Nas, this is important. This is how powerful. This shows you something. So Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, what he did was he used two tactics to get the Muslim Aqil issue to corrupt, dismantle it, weaken it. He did two things. First of all, he promised the people that he's going to give gifts.
Okay.
He said, I'm going to give you something. I'm going to do this one. Second thing is that he terrified them with and scared them with an army that's coming from Sham. He said, Yazid ibn Muawiyah is going to send me an army. I'm going to destroy you all. So the people got worried a bit and scared. And this then became an issue for Muslim Aqil, which was that the people started to retreat. 4,000 army that he had, people started to take their family members out of the line. The mother would come and she would take her child. The father would come, he would take his brother out. The tribal leader would come and he would take his people out, until 30 men from the 4,000 were left. 30 men.
Wow.
For Muslim Aqil. And the sun didn't set that same day, except Muslim Aqil was by himself. Every single body left. He remained by himself, walking in Kufa. He doesn't know where to go. He didn't know where to go. So he knocked on the door of a woman from the people of Kinda. He knocked on her door and he said to her, I just only want one thing. Uridu man, I just want water to drink. I'm thirsty. She was shocked with the situation. She said, who are you? He said, I'm Muslim Aqil. He told her the entire story. She said to him, come here. She gave him food to eat. She gave him water to drink. Like in her son, as soon as he heard the story, he ran to Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad and he said, Muslim Aqil is in the house. By the way, Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, anyone who brings me Muslim Aqil, money.
Yeah.
So he ran to Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad and he said, Muslim Aqil is with me. He said, where? Show us. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad took 70 men and they sieged the house of the woman and he fought them by himself. He got himself ready, put his armor, everything on. Muslim Aqil fought. He killed a few of the men, and then they said to him, we're going to give you a safe passage to Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. You're not going to be killed, but you have to go to Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. He said, okay. He can't fight 70 men by himself. So Muslim ibn Aqil went to Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad.
Okay.
When he entered upon Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, and he said to him, Hayya, talk to me, what's your story? He said, Bay'atun, a bay'ah fi a'naqina lil Husayn ibn Ali. We have a bay'ah for Husayn ibn Ali. You see, this is what he said. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, he said to him, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. Muslim ibn Aqil said, before you kill me, I just want to do a wasiyah. I want to do a wasiyah, a final farewell. Ubaydullah said, okay, said, go, do your wasiyah. So he looked around and he saw amongst the people Umar ibn Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas. Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas, the Sahabi's son. And Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas was very upset with his son Umar because he went to this power and he got very upset. So he boycotted him. Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas, it is mentioned. Ala kulli hal. He looked around and he saw Umar ibn Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas. And then he said to him, you are the closest person to me in terms of rahim, lineage. I want to do a wasiyah to you. He took him to the side and then he said, my wasiyah to you is I want you to send a message to Husayn ibn Ali and I want you to tell him to return and tell him that there's nothing here anymore.
Return back, basically.
Return back where you came from. There's nothing here for you in Iraq.
Okay.
Umar ibn Sa'adin, he sent a man to Husayn to inform him that the matter is ended, is over, it's finished. And that the people of Kufa have deceived you. And Muslim ibn Aqil's famous statement that's well documented that he said, Irja' bi ahlika, turn back with your family. وَلَا يَغُرَّنَّكَ أَهْلُ الْكُوفَةِ. Don't let the people of Kufa deceive you. فَإِنَّ أَهْلَ الْكُوفَةِ قَدْ كَذَبُوكَ وَكَذَبُونِي وَلَيْسَ لِكَاذِبٍ رَأْيٍ. They have deceived me, they've lied, and a liar doesn't have an opinion. So Muslim ibn Aqil was killed the day of Arafah, and Hussein came out what day? He came a day before that, which was the day of Yawm Tarwiyah. When he left Mecca, was the day of Tarwiyah, and Muslim ibn Aqil was killed on Yawm Arafah. Hussein came out one day before the death of Muslim ibn Aqil. Many Sahabas advised Hussein not to leave. Many Sahabas prevented him. They said, don't leave Hussein. From them were Abdullah ibn Umar. Abdullah ibn Umar said, don't leave. Abdullah ibn Abbas, Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, Abdullah ibn Zubayr, even his own brother, Muhammad al-Hanafiyyah. Al-Hussein's brother.
Yeah.
From his dad's side.
Yeah. Like half brother.
Half brother. Like Muhammad al-Hanafiyyah is not from Fatima.
Yeah.
He's from al-Hanafiyyah, his mother al-Hanafiyyah. They all told Hussein, don't go. For example, Abdullah ibn Abbas said to him, and Imam Ibn Kathir mentions in his Kitab al-Bidayah when he had the 8th volume, page 161, he said to him, لولا أن يزري بي وبك الناس لشبثت بيدي في رأسك فلم أترك تذهب. He said, if the people were not going to come out and shame us for it, I would literally grab your hair and your beard and hold on to you, and I wouldn't let you leave. Ibn Umar, Abdullah ibn Umar, Sha'biyu, he said that كان عمر بمكة. Abdullah ibn Umar was in Mecca. It reached him that Hussein wants to leave and that he's heading towards Iraq. A distance of masiratu ثلاثة ليال, a distance of 3 nights. Hussein was gone. And what did he say? I'm going to go after him. And he rid 3 nights. He ran after him. And then he said to him, where do you want to go? Yeah, he didn't take it lightly. He left Mecca 3 nights after him. And he said, Aina turid, where do you want? He said, I want Iraq. He brought out all of the notes that they sent to him from Iraq. And they said, look, here are the people. Look what they do to me. Look. They want me. Yeah. The matter's ready. Abdullah ibn Umar, he said something to him. He said, La tatim. Don't meet these people. Don't go to them. Hussein said, no, I'm going to go to them. Ibn Umar, he said, I'm going to tell you something. Inna Jibreel ata al-Nabiy sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Jibreel came to the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. فَخَيَّرَهُ بَيْنَ الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. And Jibreel gave the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam the choice of this dunya and the akhirah. فَاخْتَارَ الْآخِرَةِ. He chose the akhirah. وَلَمْ يُرِدِ الدُّنْيا. The Prophet did not want the dunya. وَإِنَّكَ بِضْعَةٌ مِّنْهُ, and you are a portion of Nabi Muhammad. وَاللَّهِ لَا يَلِيهَا أَحَدٌ مِّنْكُمْ أَبَدًا. None of you guys are ever going to attain this dunya. وَمَا صَرَفَهَا اللَّهُ عَنْكُمْ. Allah did not remove the dunya from you guys. إِلَّا لِلَّذِي هُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ, except that which is good for you guys. But then Hussein said, Abdullah ibn Umar, I'm going to go. So then Abdullah ibn Umar said, come here. He hugged him, and Abdullah ibn Umar, and he cried, and then he said to him, أَسْتَوْدِعَكَ اللَّهُ مِنْ قَتِيلٍ. I greet you as a person who's going to die. Yani Abdullah ibn Umar said, you're not going to come alive. I know you're not going to come back alive to me. Ibn Kathir mentions it in his Bidayah wa Nihaya, the 8th volume, page 162. Abdullah ibn Zubayr, who also refused to give bay'ah to Yazid, he said, don't do this. Why are you going for? He said, أين تذهب? He said, تذهب إلى قوم قتلوا أباك? Are you going to go to a people who killed your father? وطعنوا أخاك? And they slandered and even wounded your brother. لا تذهب, don't go. Hussein refused, and he went. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, he said, Ya Aba Abdillahi, inni laka nasihun. I'm a sincere advisor to you. Wa inni alaykum mushfiqun, and I have concern for you. Baqad balagani annahu qad katabakum qawmun. It has reached me that a group of people have written to you. Min shi'atikum bil Kufa, your supporters in Kufa have written towards you. They are asking you to leave to them. فلا تخرج إليهم. Don't go towards them. فإني سمعت أباك يقول في الكوفة. I heard your father, Ali ibn Abi Talib, saying about the people of Kufa, والله لقد مللتم وأبغضتم وملوني وأبغضوني. They have, I'm tired with the people of Kufa. Hard-headed people, stubborn people, arrogant people. Your father was saying this. وما يكون منهم وفاء قط. I heard your father say that there's no promise that these people will ever fulfill. ومن فاز بهم فاز بالسهم الأخير. والله ما لهم نيات ولا عزم على أمر ولا صبر على سيف. They have no determination and conviction, these people. And they are a people who don't have patience when it comes to fighting. They don't have it. Ibn Kathir mentions it in his Bidayah wa Nihaya, the 8th volume, page 163. Also, Hussein, on his way, he met the poet Al-Farazdaq. Farazdaq, he met him. Farazdaq just came from Iraq. Him and Hussein meet on the way. Hussein said to him, where did you come from? He said, I came from Iraq. He said, how is the situation of the people of Iraq? He said, قُلُوبُهُمْ مَعَكَ. Their hearts are with you. وَالسُّيُوفُ مَعَ بَنِي أُمَيَّةِ. But their swords is towards Bani Umayyah. Bani Umayyah, they have the money. Bani Umayyah have the kingdom. They can give positions. You don't have that. They love you because of your lineage and who you are and you. But their swords and their allegiance in that way is with Bani Umayyah. All of those people said this to him. He refused and he went. Allahu musta'an. So there's something's written. Hussein radiallahu anhu, he reached Karbala. When Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu, before that he reached a place called Qadisiyah.
Okay.
When Hussein reached Qadisiyah, it reached him the death of who? Muslim Aqil. All that time he didn't know. When he reached that place, the messenger that Umar ibn Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas sent to him reached him in Qadisiyah, and they told him that Muslim ibn Aqil is dead. So Hussein said, let's go back. The children of Muslim Aqil are with him, and his wife and his kids are with him. They said to him, La wallahi la narji'. Wallahi, we're not going to go back. Hatta na'khuda bi tha'ri abina. We're going to take a revenge for our father and the people who did this to him. Hussein said, really? There's nothing to go to. They said, no, we're going to. He said, okay. Okay, I'll take your opinion. And he said, let's go. Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad found out that Hussein is coming. So what did he do? As soon as he found out, he commanded a man by the name of Al-Hurr ibn Yazid At-Tamimi. He commanded him to take 1,000 men and be the front, to be the commander and the general for them, and to meet Hussein in that place Qadisiyah where he is. Hurr ibn Yazid At-Tamimi, he came to Hussein in Qadisiyah and he said to him, where are you going? Ya ibn binti Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the son of the daughter of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said, I'm going to Iraq. He said, فَإِنِّي آمُرُكَ, I'm going to command you. Go back, return. I don't want Allah to test me on you. Hussein, I don't want you to do anything. Go back, return from where you came from, or go to Sham and meet Yazid. Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he said, no, I'm going to go to Iraq. And he went forward. Al-Hurr ibn Yazid blocked him, said, please. Hussein said to him, get away from me. Thakilatka ummuka, may your mother lose you. Al-Hurr ibn Yazid said, Wallahi law qalaha ghayruk. If someone other than you was to say this to me from the Arabs, Wallahi, I'll take my right from them. And I'll make sure. But what can I say? And how can I respond? Wa ummuka, and your mother is who? Sayyidatu nisa'il alamin. Can I say thakilatka ummuk to you? No, I can't. Your mother is Fatima binti Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Hussein, that he reached Karbala. As soon as he reached Karbala, he asked the people that he was around, he said, what's the name of this place? They said the name of the place is called Karbala. And then he looked and he said, Karbarun. He said, Karbun wa bala'un. Karbun wa bala'un. This place is a place of distress, which is karb. And bala means calamities and problems. The army of Umar ibn Sa'ad that was sent, 4,000 by Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad in order to talk to Hussein, reached him in Karbala. The army of Umar ibn Sa'ad, 4,000 men, they spoke to Hussein ibn Ali. And they said to him, go to Iraq and meet Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad. He said, I ain't going to meet Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad. Hussein said that. Umar ibn Sa'ad said, you don't have power. All that's with you is 72 family members of yours. We've got 4,000 men. Then Hussein recognized that the matter is very serious. He can't move now. So he said to Umar ibn Sa'ad, okay, I'll give you 3 choices. I want to put down 3 things. Let me go back from where I came from. I'm going to return. Or I'm going to go to إلى ثغر من ثغور المسلمين. I'm going to the border control and that's what I'm going to do. Or let me go to Yazid. I'll place my hand in his hand and I'll give him bay'ah. Umar ibn Sa'ad said, nah, that's good. I like that. So he said, I'm going to send this matter to Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad. Let me send this issue to him and inform him. So he sent the matter to Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad that Hussein radiallahu anhu is ready. These are the 3 terms he's put down. He wants to either be allowed to go back, or he wants to what? Be sent to the Thaghr min Thughur al-Muslimin, or he wants to go to Sham and meet Yazid ibn Muawiyah.
Okay.
Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad said, this is a very good thing. That's a very nice thing. I like it. But there was an evil person right next to Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad at that time. His name was Shamr ibn Di al-Jawshan. He was he was from the closest people to Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad. He said, La wallahi. No, by Allah. He's not going to dictate the terms for us. What does he think he is? He ain't going to dictate anything for us. He has to come under our authority. We're going to give him. If he wants to go to Yazid ibn Muawiyah, he's going to go with him, with us taking him, chained. That's how he's going to be. That's how he's going to go to Yazid ibn Muawiyah. Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad said, yeah, that's true. Yeah. He got this ghurur, deception. He got full of himself, conceit, arrogance entered him. He said, you're right. Shamr ibn Di Jawshan, you're right. Let's do that. Tell him that he has to do that. Hussein has to submit to us. He said, I'm going to tell you something. Umar ibn Sa'ad, the 4,000 men I sent with him, if he can't make Hussein surrender, then I'm placing you in charge. And Umar ibn Sa'ad, Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad promised him that solve the issue of Hussein and then go to Ar-Ray and you can be the governor of Ray. So Umar ibn Sa'ad was going to go there, solve the issue of Hussein ibn Ali and go. But what happened was Shamr ibn Di Jawshan took the army. He came to Hussein ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib and he said to him, listen, you can go to Yazid, but we're going to take you chained. And you have to fall under, this minute onwards, under Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad. You're gonna first give bay'ah to Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad, and Hussein said, what? La wallah. By Allah, I swear, I'm not gonna fall under this individual, Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad. Abadan, whatsoever. To take me as a captive to Yazid, no, I'm not gonna do that. Hussein, that time, he only has 72 people. Yani horsemen, yani his family members are how much are the people of Kufa? 5,000 now.
Wow.
So if you look at the two scales, it's not going to work. So what happened? Hussein radiallahu anhu, he went to the army of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, and he said to them, 5,000 men. He said, revise your situation. Do you know who I am? I am the daughter of
I'm the son.
I'm the son of the daughter of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay? The Prophet said about me, هذا سيد شباب أهل الجنة. The Prophet said this about me. So he convinced from the army of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad 30 people to come from him. And from the people that came was what? A name that I mentioned before, Al-Hurr ibn Yazid al-Tamimi, who first came to him when he was in what? Qadisiyah. Al-Hurr ibn Yazid al-Tamimi, he went towards Hussein's side. And even the army, they said to him, are you going to now leave us? And he said, I had to choose between Jannah and Nar, and I chose Jannah.
Wow.
I'm not going to allow somebody else to kill the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's grandson. So Salatul Dhuhr entered. Hussein wanted to combine between Dhuhr and Asr. It was on a Thursday. He led the army, 2 armies. He led them. At the beginning, he said to them, we have our Imam and you guys have your own Imam. Pray yourselves and we're going to pray. But they said, la. We're going to pray behind you. So Hussein radiallahu anhu, he led the Dhuhr and then he led Asr together and they prayed behind him. When Salatul Maghrib was very close, the army moved forward. The horsemen, they started to move forward. Hussein radiallahu anhu, he had his sword right next to him. So he heard the horses coming close. So he woke up some of his family members. He said, what is happening? What is taking place? They said that they're coming close. So he sent 20 horsemen led by Al-Abbas ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib, his own brother. And he said, go and speak to them. Ask them what do they want. They said the same thing we said to you before. Hussein has to come a captive for Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. And he has to surrender and give up. As a Hussein radiallahu anhu, he said, okay, wait. Give us tonight. Let's pray tonight. At night, I want to pray my Qiyamul Layl. I want to pray to Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. I love to pray to Him. And I want to, inshallah ta'ala, have that moment with Allah and pray my istikhara. I ask Allah for forgiveness. I supplicate to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's what I want to do. That was on Thursday night. Friday morning, the 2 armies, they got in contact. And they met one another and they fought one another. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad's army, of course the numbers is not the same. 72 plus the 30 that came. So it's 100 taqriban, 102.
Yeah.
They're fighting 5,000. Taqriban 5,000. So the numbers is not going to be the same. So the entire army of Hussein radiallahu anhu, but the overwhelming majority of his army were taken. Or they were killed. Other than the women, but the men were all nearly killed. So Hussein radiallahu anhu stood by himself. Everyone was avoiding Hussein. No one wants to touch him. They're all going around him. He's fighting amongst themselves, but then nobody wants to touch him. And then what happened was, it's disputed who did it. Some say Sinan ibn Anas al-Nakha'i, he was the one who threw something at him. And some say that it was not him, but it was actually the criminal that I mentioned before, Shamr ibn Dhi Jawshan. He was the one who did it. قَبَّحَهُمُ اللَّهُ, may Allah destroy them both. They're the ones who, whichever of those, they did it to him. And Hussein radiallahu anhu, he was killed. And then his head was taken to Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad in Kufa. And so he looked at his head. He wanted to know that he died. So when his head was brought to him, he took a twig and he started to put it into his nose and into the mouth of Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And Anas ibn Malik, and he saw it and he said, Wallahi, destruction be to you. Wallahi, I saw the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam kissing him between the 2 eyes, the head that you're doing this to. And Ibrahim al-Nakha'i said a statement which was very famous, and he became authentic. And Imam al-Tabarani mentioned it in his Mu'jam al-Kabir بسند الصحيح, that Ibrahim al-Nakha'i, he said, لو كنت في من قتل الحسين, if I was from the people who killed Hussein, ثم أدخلت الجنة, and I was then placed in Jannah, استحييت, I would be shy, and أمر على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, to walk by the Prophet, فينظر في وجهي, and he looks at my face. This is even if I make it to Jannah. So Hussein radiallahu anhu was killed. Yazid, when he was informed, because Yazid was not aware of all of this.
He was still in Sham.
He was still in Sham, of course.
Yeah.
Everything escalated very fast.
Yeah.
So when Hussein radiallahu anhu, Yazid, he reached him, he started to cry. He went into his room, cried for days.
Wow.
And then he sent money and means of transportation for the family of Hussein to be deported back to where they came from. He did not take them, any of them, as captives and say, oh, these are, he didn't do any of that. So the reason why even Hussein radiallahu anhu wanted to go to Yazid ibn Muawiyah was that he knew he could understand him. But he didn't. Who's this criminal that I need to talk to? So this is the crux of the story. This is what Hussein's khuruj, they supposedly say. And inshallah ta'ala, we can sift through it, discuss it in further details, inshallah ta'ala, put more quotes to it, and a more lengthy discussion regarding it.
Barakallahu feek for that very detailed explanation of the story of Hussein ibn Ali radiallahu anhuma. I think it's a story that maybe not many people have heard before, and it's one that really pulls at the heartstrings when you think about what these companions went through. It really, really is very, it's a very telling story, subhanAllah. What were the main sources, the main books you used to come up with that information? What were the books that you went into?
The main source would be Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya. Ibn Kathir rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions it in great details. Also Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah mentions it rahimahullah ta'ala in his Minhaj al-Sunnah Nabawiyah, and some of his Majmu' al-Fatawa, he mentions it. And also Ibn Khaldun and Al-Khayyat's Tarikh as well. So it's in those sources that I used, but mainly Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya, Ibn Kathir.
Okay, so having gone through the history now, what is your position on this whole situation? What do you believe Hussein did? Do you believe he made khuruj? Do you believe he made it in an erroneous ijtihad? Like, what is the conclusion that you come with?
So, responding to the issue related to Hussein's alleged khuruj, the response I want to give is, I want to give a very comprehensive response, which inshallah ta'ala is not just going to be an answer for Hussein alone, but it's going to be a response for anybody whose argument you might bring forward. So let me give that comprehensive response, and then inshallah ta'ala I can give a response, great details in the issue of Hussein specifically.
Sure.
So the general response I want to give is that I want to say, according to the Salaf al-Salih, the issue of al-Khuruj al-Hakim al-Fasiq, there were two views.
Okay.
So when I say Salaf, I mean the pious predecessors. Again, I'm referring to the three golden generation. There are two views. There's the view of the Sahabas, which is that by unanimous agreement, all the Sahabas agree that khuruj is not allowed.
There's an ijma'.
There's an ijma' amongst the companions that the khuruj of al-Hakim al-Fasiq is not permissible. Then there came a khilaf from the Tabi'in, which is the second view. And then after the fitna of Ibn al-Ash'ath, the ijma' again took place, and that's the one that got tawaradat al-a'imma, the imams of al-Islam, they passed on to each other, qarnan ba'da qarnin, in kutub al-i'tiqad it was passed on, and that consensus, that ijma', and they even went as far as to say anyone who goes against it is a mubtadi' and etc.
And that's the ijma' you mentioned in the principle section earlier on in the video.
So we have to understand those are the two views at the time of the three noble generation. There's an ijma', there's a second view that came about, which is it is permissible or it can be done by some of the tabi'in, and then the ijma' happened again. And now what I want to say is that the tabi'in themselves who did khuruj, they repented from that view and they became part of the ijma' ba'da fitnat ibn al-Ash'ath. They became part of it. So if you really bottle it down, the three noble generation in essence would be one view.
Okay.
If you think,
even though you're not disputing the fact that there were some tabi'in that did do khuruj, but they repented. So I'm going to come on to them later, inshallah. Right now, I want to focus on this ijma' of the companions. Obviously, Hussein ibn Ali is from the companions. So that's the story that we're talking about right now. So you don't believe he did khuruj. Why not?
So now I'm going to go to the general response. The jawab, which is general and comprehensive. I want it to be for Hussein and anybody else. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, he says, كان أفاضل المسلمين ينهون عن الخروج والقتال في الفتنة. So I want you to underline a few points I'm going to mention, which is كان أفاضل المسلمين, the virtuous Muslims, the noble Muslims, they were prohibiting عن الخروج والقتال في الفتنة, to do khuruj and also to fight in the fitan. كما كان عبد الله بن عمر وسعيد بن المسيب وعلي بن الحسين وغيرهم ينهون عن عام الحرة عن الخروج على يزيد. They were saying don't do خروج عن يزيد. وكما كان الحسن البصري ومجاهد وغيرهما ينهون عن الخروج في فتنة ابن الأشعث. And then look what he said. ولهذا استقر أمر أهل السنة. يعني after the fitna of Ibn Ash'ath that I mentioned, استقر أمر أهل السنة على ترك القتال في الفتنة. That little moment where the tabi'in did that, after the ijma' happened again. للأحاديث الصحيحة الثابتة عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. The reason for that is because the tabi'in who did do khuruj, they all didn't come across these narrations. The proofs and the evidences now reached them.
All of them, every single one of them.
The ones who repented, who came back from the view, who were alive in order to repent. Some of them died in the fitna. Some of them died at the time of fitna ibn Ash'ath. Yeah. But the ones who came back, which inshallah ta'ala I'm going to quote later, they came back from it. And the madhabu ahli sunnah. Now I really want you to understand the statement of Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah and a few other statements that I mentioned. For them to say, وَلِهَذَا اسْتَقَرَّ أَمْرُ أَهْلِ السُّنَّةِ. This issue became Ahlul Sunnah, Ahlul Bid'ah. It wasn't just a view within Ahlul Sunnah and it's, rajih and marjuh. No. We're finding that there's tabdi' here. ولهذا استقر أمر أهل السنة على ترك القتال في الفتنة للأحاديث الصحيحة الثابتة عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وصاروا يذكرون هذا في عقائدهم. Ibn Taymiyyah saying they started to mention this in their books of i'tiqad because it became a distinct quality for Ahlul Sunnah. The only people who started to use this as an argument and say it is permissible to do khuruj were the Mu'tazila and the Khawarij. Even the Murji'ah as well, which we're going to see later. وَيَأْمُرُونَ بِالصَّبْرِ عَلَى جَوْرِ الْأَئِمَّةِ وَتَرْكِ قِتَالِهِمْ. So the ulama started to what? Command the people, the ulama Ahlul Sunnah, to be patient upon the oppression and leaving off the fighting of the qital. So I'm explaining the kalam of Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah, what rahimahullah he said. And I mentioned the ijma' that was transmitted by Abu Bakr ibn Mujahid and Nawawi rahimahullah. And you remember the statement of Nawawi where he said, وَأَمَّا الْخُرُوجُ عَلَيْهِمْ, to do khuruj on them and to fight with them. وَقِتَالُهُمْ, he said, فَحَرَامٌ بِإِجْمَاعِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ وَإِنْ كَانُوا فَسَقَةً ظَالِمِينَ. Yani it's haram by consensus, by ijma' of the Muslims, even if they are fusaq, ظالمين. وَقَدْ تَظَاهَرَتِ الْأَحَادِيثُ بِمَعْنَى مَا ذَكَرْتُ. And many evidences and proofs from the hadith of the Prophet have come regarding this. Look what he said after that. He said, وَأَجْمَعَ, again, like Ibn Taymiyyah, وَأَجْمَعَ أَهْلُ السُّنَّةِ أَنَّهُ لَا يَنْعَزِلُ السُّلْطَانُ بِالْفِسْقِ. Again, it's a matter of Ahlul Sunnah and Ahlul Bid'ah. وأما الوجه المذكور في كتب الفقه. Again, he's not only is he saying this, but he's also responding to, as I mentioned before, the mutaakhirin, like Mawardi within the Shafi'i madhab and other people from the late mutaakhirin al-usuliyin and the fuqaha who are saying that it's permissible. Nawawi goes for them as well. He says, وأما الوجه المذكور في كتب الفقه لبعض أصحابنا, يعني الماوردي and those who took his part, أنه ينعزل وحكي عن المعتزلة أيضا. And it's also mentioned about the Mu'tazila. Look what he said. فَغَلَطٌ مِنْ قَائِلِهِ. He didn't say it's an ijtihad from them. It's a view out there. He said فَغَلَطٌ, it's a mistake, it's a wrong. مُخَالِفٌ لِلْإِجْمَعِ. I want you to, Nawawi over 12 places mentions Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu and the issue of fitnat ibn Ash'ath and the day of Harra with Yazid ibn Muawiyah, and he mentions all of those things. Why would he say there's an ijma' on the mas'ala? And mas'ala to Hussein is not a mas'ala that's hidden, that people, it's a mas'ala mashhur, mustafid. All the Muslims know that. Even people who haven't read books know that, the issue of Hussein. Why is he saying فَغَلَطٌ مِنْ قَائِلِهِ مُخَالِفٌ لِلْإِجْمَعِ? The reason, because there was an ijma'. There came a little khilaf from the tabi'in. Hussein didn't do khuruj. Inshallah, as I'm going to prove, inshallah ta'ala, and I'm going to expand on بإذن الله الكريم. So he said فَغَلَطٌ مِنْ قَائِلِهِ رحمه الله تعالى, and then he goes on. Al-Qadi Iyad, he said وَقَدِ ادَّعَى أبو بكر بن مجاهد في هذا الإجماع وقد ورد عليه بعضهم هذا بقيام الحسين وابن الزبير. الله أكبر. Qadi Iyad, he says, Abu Bakr ibn Mujahid, who is the Shaykh of Baqillani, Abu Bakr al-Baqillani, is his teacher. He mentions the ijma' on the mas'ala. By the way, the one who transmits that ijma' of his as well is Ibn Hazm in his Kitab Maratib al-Ijma', which I'm going to go to inshallah ta'ala. He says, rahimahullah ta'ala, al-Imam al-Qadi Iyad al-Yahsubi, he says, Abu Bakr ibn Mujahid claimed the ijma' on the mas'ala. وَقَدْ رَدَّ عَلَيْهِ بَعْضُ, and some of them, some of the people, they refuted Abu Bakr ibn Mujahid Why? بقيام الحسن وابن الزبير. They said, what about Hassan ibn Ali, ibn al-Husayn and ibn al-Zubayr and أهل المدينة على بني أمية وبقيام جماعة عظيمة من التابعين وصدر الأول على الحجاج مع ابن الأشعث وتأول هذا القائل قوله. And those people, they started to use the statement of the Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم ألا ننازع الأمر أهله في أئمة العدل. So some people, look what he said after that. قاضي عياض. He said, وقيل هذا الخلاف كان أولا. That خلاف was at the beginning from the تابعين. ثم حصل الإجماع. Then the إجماع came على منع الخروج عليهم والله أعلم. That's the response. It's so easy. There was a khilaf that came at the beginning from the تابعين, and after the fitna of Ibn Ash'ath, إجماع انعقد. Everyone who comes after that, they are محجوج بهذا الإجماع. They can't go beyond. You can't move before. Ibn Hajar in the same. He says when he comes to rahimahullah ta'ala, the statement of Abu Ya'la al-Qadi Iyad al-Yahsub, you can find in Sharh Sahih Muslim, the 12th volume, page 229. Ibn Hajar, he says in Fath al-Bari rahimahullah, Tahdhib al-Tahdhib, specifically Tahdhib al-Tahdhib, the second volume, page 288, he says, كان يرى السيف, يعني Al-Hasan ibn Salih. He used to see the sword, يعني he used to see the permissibility of khuruj of the oppressive Muslim leader. كان يرى الخروج بالسيف على أئمة الجور. وهذا مذهب للسلف قديم. That was an old view that the Salaf held. لكن استقر الأمر, the matter became استقرار على ترك ذلك, that this matter is abandoned and it's left. لما رأوا قد أفضى إلى أشد منه, because of what they saw it led to, the great harms that it brought about. ففي وقعة الحرة ووقعة ابن الأشعث وغيرهما عظة لمن تدبر. Anyone who takes a lesson يعني and ponders over what took place. Like for example, let's look at وقعة الحرة. وقعة الحرة, as I'm going to mention inshallah ta'ala later, 1,000 women lost their virginity. 1,000 women. يعني Yazid ibn Muawiyah's army came into Medina, the city of the Prophet. Imagine khuyul, horses. And Imam Malik used to get off his horse when he would go into Medina, and he would say no one should be high in Medina. And he used to walk on the ground because of the Prophet's grave being there, and yani the Prophet's masjid sallallahu alayhi ihtaram, and the city and everything. Billahi alayka, I swear by Allah, imagine what happened, the chaos, the bloodshed that took place. Are you there? And the death that happened. Would somebody advise a people to do that?
Of course not.
So وقعت ابن الأني, he said وغير عظة, it's a lesson, wallah. It's something to really think about. لمن تدبر. So that person, what is he pushing the people to? When the Salaf themselves saw what happened, they saw عواقب الأمور, and they said, Ya Rabbi, we repent. Subhanallah, the people who repented are some of the ru'us أهل البدع, who wouldn't repent from their deviation and their corrupted beliefs that they had, like Ma'bad al-Juhani. Ma'bad al-Juhani was from the people who participated in the fitna of Ibn al-Ash'ath. And when he was seen in the Kaaba, Ma'bad al-Juhani, who's Ma'bad al-Juhani? Ma'bad al-Juhani is the one who believed in Qadr. The hadith of Jibreel, when Yahya ibn Ya'mar and Humayd ibn Abd al-Rahman al-Himyari, they went to Abdullah ibn Umar, and they said that in our land, Iraq, a group of people have come out, and they said that Allah Qadr, there is no Qadr, wa anna al-amra uruf. They were referring to Ma'bad al-Juhani, who came with this corrupted belief. Are you there? He wouldn't come back from that view. But this issue, he himself touched reality. He touched the core of the issue. And he said, Wallahi, Hassan al-Basri was right.
The one who Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhum has said, even if he was to give a mountain of gold at the side of Mount Uhud. Tell them, I am free from these people and they're free from me. And even he
realized when he saw what took place and what happened and how the women were raped. 1,000 women, imagine, in one day. In one fitna, sorry. And that's something to really say. So those 4 imams that I just mentioned, the 4 imams that I just transmitted their statements, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. I also mentioned the statement of Abu Bakr ibn Mujahid, and Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah, which is 3, and Al-Qadi Iyad al-Yahsubi, and Hafiz ibn Hajar if you add them. All those 4, they mentioned that there is an ijma' in the mas'ala, and that whatever view that was there, they didn't give it any consideration.
Okay.
That's a general answer for anybody you've been for me.
Okay,
I'm saying to you that there is an ijma' that happened بعد فتنة ابن أشعث. From the Quran, Allah told us subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَمَنْ يُشَاقِقِ الرَّسُولَ مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا تَبَيَّنَ لَهُ الْهُدَى وَيَتَّبِعْ غَيْرَ سَبِيلِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ نُوَلِّهِ مَا تَوَلَّى وَنُصْلِهِ جَهَنَّمَ وَسَاءَتْ مَصِيرًا. The tabi'een who بعد فتنة ابن أشعث, the ulama of that time, they saw one view to be taken and they dismissed the other view. They abandoned.
Was it still in the time of the Salaf Salih?
Of course they were the time of the Salaf Salih. They were what? They were part of the time. And this issue, I'm going to come back to it again in great details. This issue of... no, I'm not. I'm going to actually talk about it now. I think it's very important that I talk about this issue, which is ijma' being there and then after a khilaf.
Yeah.
I think it's just go quickly to that before I go to the detailed response.
Because I do have some questions on that. But I just want to summarize the general response that you said. Okay. You said that there's an ijma' amongst the companions. The companions themselves, who from them is Hussein ibn Ali, Abdullah ibn Zubair, they unanimously agreed, and we're going to go into their stories in a bit more detail and some of the questions that the other side bring, but they unanimously agreed that it is not permissible to rebel against the oppressive Muslim ruler. Which actually means even when we go into this discussion, which we still will, about whether a khilaf or an ijma' can come after a khilaf, that actually helps you, because if the people believe a khilaf can't come after an ijma', then you bought an ijma' from the companions. After that, there was a group from the tabi'een that did rebel. And again, I've got a lot of questions on that. And you said that the evidence didn't reach them. And I'm going to ask, of the thousands of them, people will be asking, how did the evidence not reach any of them? But we're going to go into that in a bit more detail, inshallah. Then after that, all this time is in the time of the Salaf Salih. Even after that is another ijma'. So the khilaf that did occur, and in fact before that I should say that even the khilaf that did occur, all of them that remained alive repented from it and actually turned back on their position anyway. So you have a khilaf that is sandwiched in between two ijma's. Yeah. And you mentioned the ijma' that comes after that, even from the scholars you mentioned before, but also the 33. I want to remind the people the 33 names you mentioned in the principles discussion. So now we're going to talk about, because it's obviously another common thing that they say that there was a khilaf at the time of the Salaf Salih. There was there. Now you're trying to say there's an ijma' that came after that. Can we possibly say that there's an ijma' that forms after an initial disagreement that happened between the best of people?
Okay.
That's what we're going to go into.
I'm saying to you, this issue, I kind of touched on it before. The Salaf al-Salih, we don't have the pious predecessors. Okay, other than a statement I mentioned, Abu Ya'la, in his Kitab al-Udda fi Usul al-Fiqh, that after him, Al-Khattabi, his own student, didn't accept. That he attributed, an understanding like that to Imam Ahmad, which is not accepted by Ibn Qudama and also his own student Khattabi. They don't accept that. That Abu Ya'la mentions, Ibn Abi Ya'la. Abu Ya'la. Okay, here what I'm saying is that this condition that ijma' can't happen if there's a khilaf before it, this is wrong, and we have many masail that actually there was a khilaf and then an ijma' came after it. For example, we have an issue of the Sahabas differed amongst themselves في حكم التيمم في حدث الجنابة. For example, can you do tayammum from janaba? The person doesn't have water or
from major impurity.
Yeah, major impurity. Are you allowed to do tayammum? Okay. There are two views. There's a view of Umar ibn al-Khattab and Abdullah ibn Mas'ud on one side, which is it doesn't benefit you. If you do tayammum for hadath al-janaba, sorry, it doesn't work. And then we have the Jumhur Ashab in Nabi Sallallahu, the overwhelming majority of his companions who say, yes, of course it works. The ijma' became what? The ijma' that came after was that the qawl of the ones who said it does work. And Ibn Khattab, Umar ibn Khattab's view and Ibn Mas'ud, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud's view got dismissed.
There wasn't a hadith that came after that. This isn't a discussion about the man rolling around, is it?
Yeah, there are evidences on the side of the Jumhur Ashab in Nabi Sallallahu. They had a proof. But the issue is that these people would say that the understanding of Umar, why is it being dismissed? And Ibn Mas'ud. We will say that Ibn Mas'ud's khilaf and Umar ibn Khattab was left because of the ijma' that came after. إلى يومنا هذا, if you look at كتب الفقه and everything, and you see that they've taken this view.
And they died upon that opinion.
Yeah, of course they died upon that opinion. We also have another example is a man who had sexual intercourse with his wife. But from then, all that happened was penetration faqat. The man didn't release. In that situation, is ghusl wajib on him or not? Or should he do ghusl? There's two views amongst the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. There's one view that says, no, it's not obligatory. It's actually the view of Uthman and the view of Ali and Ubay ibn Ka'b and Zayd ibn Thabit and Mu'adh ibn Jabal and Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. And this is their view that they had. That view got dismissed.
I just want to clarify. So the companions that held the erroneous view, the view that got dismissed now, those companions, they didn't repent from their view before they died. They died upon that view. Okay. So, because that's the argument, saying the Salaf died upon, the people held this view all the way. Obviously, if the companions repented before, then there's no khilaf in the first place.
No, we're going to come to this.
So it's exactly the same situation.
Naam. And then after that, ijma' came and that got dismissed.
Okay.
The issue of al-mas'h al-khuffayn, which is another mas'ala, is very important. Al-mas'h al-khuffayn, some of the Sahabas actually believed it's mansukh bi ayatul Ma'idah. And jumhur al-ulama, they believe يعني المسح على الخفين is the permissibility, and they mentioned all the nusus for it. And that got mentioned in Kutub al-I'tiqad later, you know that, right? As a mas'ala of madhhab ahli sunnati wal jama'ah. The point I'm saying, there's a lot of masail and furu' al-masail I can mention, but this issue of اشتراط انعقاد الإجماع ألا يسبقه خلاف مستقر, this is, it's not a call of, يعني ليه متأخرين أصوليين mention this, and we shouldn't give it much weight like that. Also, I'm saying, by the way, this mas'ala is a ijma' khilaf ijma'.
Yeah. The ijma' happened before the khilaf.
It happened before the khilaf.
The ijma' of the Sahabas, yeah.
So you're saying to me that Hussein radiallahu anhu did khuruj. I'm going to now prove it to you that's invalid.
Okay, we are going to go into that, but just on this issue of ijma' after khilaf, I just want to go into this a little bit more detail, because I do have some questions on this. They say your Sheikh, who you respect highly, Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah, he believed the usuli position that an ijma' can't happen after khilaf. What do you have to say about that?
So there's two responses to Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen. The first response, inshallah ta'ala, is Ibn Uthaymeen is an alim min ulama'i ahl sunnah of our time. Faqih, alim, loved and appreciated by many. Someone I personally look up to and I admire and I love his works, rahimahullah. With that being said, he's not a proof in and within himself. And he's from the people I am referring to when I say the mutaakhirin said this statement. This is not something said by the three noble generation in this mas'ala, that the ijma' it's only going to be strong only if there's no khilaf before it. That condition, and there's no evidence for it. Even though he tries to bring evidence for Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen, but the evidence is not that strong. I've taught the Kitab al-Usul min al-Usul. That view doesn't seem very strong. And it's a view being pushed strongly by the mutaakhirin.
Okay.
With that being said though, Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen believes that this surah of al-khuruj ala al-hakim al-fasiq is not part of this qa'idah. So if you take him on this and you say, Abdurrahman, Jazakallah khairan, I take Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen over you, which you
take
can,
him in everything, like
then take him on this side, which is he believes that the qawa'id al-usuliyya are not mutarida. The qawa'id al-usuliyya, and of course ulama mentioned that it's not qa'id. Mutarida means it doesn't apply on every situation. This mas'ala بعينها الخروج على الحاكم مسلم الحاكم الفاسق المسلم, he says this is not part of it. He believes the ijma' is sahih, rahimahullah, and he believes it's not permissible, it's not allowed, and there's an ijma' in the mas'ala, and he gives weight to that ijma' that's there, rahimahullah. Okay, so he believes this is an istithna, an exception of that particular issue. Third response I want to add on to that is that this issue is not, we're not looking at ijma' from one perspective. I already mentioned this before. The ijma' is here is not just the issue of al-khuruj ala al-imam al-hakim al-muslim, who's fasiq or zalim or jair or mubtadi' or whatever. I'm not just looking at it from that ijma', the 33 imams that I mentioned. I'm looking at an ijma' from the other side, which is inkarul munkari bima huwa ankaru minhu, rejecting going against a munkar with a greater munkar. There's a unanimous agreement. The scholar says it's not allowed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
So the person here is in a predicament with this whole situation. Like there's two ijma's that are standing right in front of you that you need to tackle.
In that second ijma' that you mentioned, was there khilaf before that ijma'?
No.
Okay, so that argument doesn't stand in that ijma', that there was a khilaf and ijma' can't be formed. And secondly, it's not fair or just of an individual to take part of Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen's statement and then apply it. Whether it's out of, what I believe, for my husn al-dhan, I don't believe it's actually being done intentionally. I actually believe it's due to ignorance. But whether it's done out of ignorance or intentionally, it's not right to do that, and it's not fair to do that.
Shahid, I'm going to mention a very powerful statement. Wallahi, Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah mentions in his kitab Tahdhib al-Sunan. One, I've been illustrating it through the whole entire podcast, which is no hadith is coming from the other party to say, look, this is why there's a khilaf sa'iq. They're bringing adilla amma, general evidences. They're bringing evidences that's not mawridun niza', where the discussion really lies. Whereas the ones who are bringing the proofs and the evidences are bringing it because or they're bringing in the exact mawridun niza, where the discussion argument is.
Yeah.
How can you say there's a khilaf sa'igh when one group have evidence and the other group don't have evidences from the Quran or the Sunnah to prove their issue? They have every general evidence that have nothing to do with the Muslim oppressive leader. That's one. Second thing I want to show this issue is that a statement Ibn al-Qayyim says in his kitab Tahdhib al-Sunan, which is لا يجوز معارضة الأحاديث الصحيحة المعلومة الصحة بروايات التاريخ المنقطعة المغلوطة. You can't try to oppose the authentic evidences that have come to us, that are known, the authenticity, they're in Bukhari, they're in Muslims. You dismiss it, you abandon all of that for what? التاريخ المنقطعة المغلوطة. For what? Historical events that took place, a lot of which you can't even prove if I asked you for a chain of narration for it. And in majority, a lot of the times, the issues related to Hussein, the asanid that are being brought regarding it, if we were to ask and say, hey, what's the sanad for it? Ibn Kathir said it. That's no evidence. Where's the sanad for this event? Because you're the one who's using this event as a proof, which also it isn't a proof. But where are the asanid for it? Where are the chain of narration for it? ثبت عرشك ثم انقش. As they say, establish your throne first and then go. Prove your argument first and then go. Do you understand my point?
Yeah.
And you're going to leave a hadith in Bukhari and in Muslim. And they say there's a khilaf sa'igh.
Yeah. Okay. The other thing that they say in this particular issue is they say as long as you admit that there was a khilaf at the time of the Salaf, obviously before the ijma', as long as we hold on to someone from the golden generations, we're holding on to something that's correct. And that's something that they push forward. As long as we just hold on to a view that happened in the time of the Salaf. And obviously we responded to this talking about the ijma' in of itself, but I'm just bringing everything because I feel like I have to.
But Shahid, I haven't gone into the detailed response for Hussein yet. All I've given is general response now. But I want to say something. These people, they say Hussein did khuruj. So they say Hussein did khuruj. Okay. And then they bring evidences that khuruj is allowed. But Hussein never used those evidences. Hussein didn't use those evidences. He didn't bring proofs and arguments. Rather, when the Sahabas critiqued him in what he was doing, he didn't say, قَالَ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى قَالَ رَسُولُهُ صَلَّى اللَّهُ. He didn't. This is very important that you understand it. And that is an issue which is really strong. And that itself can be a discussion, which is, can you take the validity or the permissibility of something from the action of a companion alone? Can you say this Sahabi's madhab is that it's permissible to go against the oppressive Muslim leader based on his action alone? I'm going to go back to that point later, inshallah ta'ala. The madhab of a person is not taken from their actions. For example, a person might drink alcohol or might commit zina. And that doesn't mean they see the permissibility of what? Committing zina. Or they see the permissibility of drinking alcohol. It doesn't mean that in any way, shape or form.
Yeah.
The person might be doing it out of shahwa. Or they might be doing it out of hawa. And etc. You see? Or they might even be doing it because they didn't have it, the proof never reached them. They didn't even know zina was haram. Or they didn't realize that they thought zina was haram only. And I've seen somebody said this to me. A Muslim brother said to me, I thought zina meant you can't go and sleep with women. But if you're committed to one person, this is not zina.
You're not married?
Yeah, you're not married, but you're committed to one person. He said cheating is what I thought zina meant.
I see.
So my point here, and I'm trying to say to you, is that there are many ishkalat, many answers you need to give. First of all, did the proof reach Hussein? Second thing, inshallah ta'ala, which I'm going to really drill home, inshallah ta'ala, for the viewers, is that none of the Sahabas advised Hussein not to do khuruj. Because he wasn't doing khuruj.
Yeah. That's one of the things that
this is the point I'm going to bring. The Sahabas, radiyallahu anhum, by the way, I haven't gone to the detailed response.
Correct.
But the Sahabas who critiqued Hussein and told him, Hussein, what you're doing is wrong. None of them said khuruj is not allowed. You're not allowed to go against an oppressive Muslim leader. Why? Because Hussein wasn't doing khuruj.
And they knew that.
Exactly, there wasn't. There was something else they were advising him on, which he was doing. But they were not advising him on the issue of khuruj. Then Hussein didn't do khuruj aslan. And I'm going to prove that, inshallah ta'ala.
Okay, and we're going to go into that. But just to close this discussion about ijma' of the khilaf, like you said, and I do feel like I'm repeating myself a lot, but I feel like it needs to be repeated because just for the point to sink home, the ijma' of the companions happened before the khilaf anyway. So this argument about ijma' after khilaf can't occur, and we're going to prove that. You're going to prove that once we go into detailed stories. And secondly, we brought up Ibn Uthaymeen, rahimahullah, and one thing I've noticed, and they don't just do this with Hussein radiallahu anhu, where they say that just for this action, we believe that he believes it to be permissible. One thing I noticed from doing all my research is actually they bring quotes from scholars and or in books, and they try and say that this shows that khuruj is permissible. But the scholar that they're using it from himself didn't believe in the permissibility of khuruj, because you mentioned Imam Nawawi had an ijma' on it, which was actually news to me, because in my notes I've got a lot of Imam Nawawi. I don't know if you had Ibn Abdul Barr in your.
I mentioned that he
had an ijma' as well.
I mentioned, he said that the khilaf that's been attributed is a khilaf between Ahlul al-Mu'tazilah wal Khawarij on one side. So when he said اختلف الناس Ibn Abdul Barr, and he brings the hadith ألا ننازع الأمر أهله in his kitab al-Tamheed,
Yeah, and also in
al-Istidkhar, which explains what he's saying in his Tamheed. Ibn Abdul Barr rahimahullah ta'ala mentions that the khilaf here is the khilaf of what the Mu'tazilah and the Khawarij on one side, which are Ahlul Bid'ah, and the ulama al-fiqh and the ulama al-hadith and Ahlul Sunnah on one side, who believed that you're not allowed to go against the oppressive Muslim leader. The other party, I don't know, أجهل أم تجاهل وأحلاه ما مر, as they say. Was he ignorant about it? Okay, or are they ignorant about it? Or are they deliberately trying to deceive the people? And both of them are as bad as each other, to be honest. Because if you didn't know, then you should just not talk about a matter you don't have a knowledge of. And if you do know, and you deliberately try to cheat the people, then that is a evil thing as well. So what I'm trying to say here at this particular point is that Ibn Abdul Barr, his statement was made to look like that he's saying there's a khilaf between who Ahl Sunnah fima baynahum.
And the fact that he said in his statement, a group from the Salaf al-Salih had view, it doesn't refute what you're saying, because it just means that they did, like you're saying, they did.
The tabi'in did, some of them did.
But after the ijma' came. But the point I'm getting across is the fact that he was in your list of people who made ijma' on the mas'ala for your side. It was shocking to me, because they use his statements a lot. So to use a statement from an alim who actually believes against what you're believing, it's a bit worrying. Okay. I want to go into the issue of Hussein ibn Ali a little bit more detail now.
Okay. So let me give a response, inshallah, a detailed response. First of all, I want to say Hussein radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, the action that he did, I'm going to come to whether it's khudu khuruj or not, but the action that Hussein did, senior Sahabas, he opposed them. He opposed senior Sahabas in his action. Whether the action is khuruj or not, let's come back to that. Okay. I'm going to come to that. Hussein's action was condemned by noble companions. Some of them condemned it to him directly, and I mentioned some of them. I mentioned some of the Sahabas, and when I was mentioning the Tariq, Abu Sa'id al-Khudri and Abdullah ibn Umar and Abdullah ibn Abbas, and I mentioned them. These people, they condemned him directly in what he was doing. And some of Umar ibn Khattab, whose statement he disagreed with. Umar wasn't there at that time, like Umar was of a view of different on this issue, which is to be patient. Suwayd ibn Ghafala, I mentioned the statement of Umar. Suwayd ibn Ghafala, what did he do? He mentions that قال لي Umar. He said, Umar said to me, Umar said to him, يا أبا أمية إني لا أدري لعلي لا ألقاك بعد عامي هذا. I'm scared and I'm worried, and I think that I may not be able to meet you after this year. Then look what the advice he gave him. He said, فاسمع وأطع وإن أمر عليك عبد حبشي مجدع إن ضربك فاصبر وإن حرمك فاصبر وإن أراد أمرا ينتقص دينك فقل سمع وطاعة. And then added ودمي دون ديني فلا تفارق الجماعة. He said, if you're placed above you an Abyssinian amputated leader, he's blind, dumb, he's amputated. And then again, he's an Abyssinian, because these people are Arabs. They wouldn't have liked that. Not that the Prophet saying that Abyssinian leader he's not saying anything negative about them, but he's talking to a people who wouldn't accept that. Sure. He said, accept that. Why not? إن ضربك فاصبر. If he lashes you, be patient. If he prevents from you your rights, be patient. Even if he wants to do something that's going to cause harm to your religion, say to him, I hear and I obey you, but my religion in this issue, I'm not going to let you do anything to my religion. In this particular issue, I'm not going to obey you in this issue. And then look what he said after that. فَلَا تُفَارِقِ الْجَمَاعَةِ. Don't cut away from. So this Hussein and Umar is more knowledgeable than Hussein, more senior than him, more virtuous than him. رضي الله تعالى عنه. Simak ibn al-Walid, he mentions al-Hanafi أنه لقي ابن عمر بالمدينة. Simak ibn al-Walid al-Hanafi, he said أنه لقي ابن عباس بالمدينة. He met Ibn Abbas in Medina, يعني عبد الله ibn Abbas. فقال, he said to him, ما يقول في سلطان علينا يظلمنا. What about a leader who is oppressing us? ويشتمون, he's insulting us. وَيَعْتَدُونَ عَلَيْنَا, and they are transgressing and exceeding their limits regarding us. What should we do in a situation like that? Should we not stop them? He said, أَلَا نَمْنَعْهُمْ? Should we not stop these people? Abdullah ibn Abbas said to him, no. أعطهم يا حنفي. Hanafi, just give them their wealth, what they ask you for. Until he said to him, يا حنفي الجماعة الجماعة, the unity of the Muslims and the leader. إنما هلكت الأمم الخالية, the previous nations that came before you, they got destroyed بتفرقها when they disunited. أما سمعت, did you not hear قول الله تعالى, the statement of Allah, واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا. And it's funny because a lot of these people, they call to unity. They call to unity unrestrictedly, unity, let's unite. But when we come with this, they say, the leader, don't go against him, it's going to, khuruj is allowed. Zayd ibn Hubaysh, he said, لما أنكر الناس سيرة الوليد بن عقبة ابن أبي معيط فزع الناس إلى عبد الله بن مسعود فقال لهم عبد الله بن مسعود, he said, يعني Zayd ibn Hubaysh, he's saying, when the people were not happy with Al-Walid ibn Uqba and what he was doing, Al-Walid ibn Uqba ibn Abi Mu'ayt, they were not pleased with him. And the people, they all ran to Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said to them, اصبروا, be patient. فإن جور إمام 50 عاما, a leader for 50 years, خير من هرج شهر, it is better than the bloodshed of 1 month. And this hadith, Imam al-Tabarani narrated in his Mu'jam al-Kabir, Ibn Asakir in his Tarikh, and Al-Iraqi authenticated it in his Takhrij Ahadithi al-Ihya. And he said, Al-Iraqi, he said, رواه الطبراني في الكبير بإسناد لا بأس به.
Yeah, I have a question on this particular narration actually, because it's something that they picked up on as well. And they said that in this chain, and you said you actually looked into a lot on another video, you said you looked into it in detail.
نعم, I did. فضل.
In this chain, there's a narrator called Wahbullah bin Rizq Abu Huraira al-Misri. And it says he was the only narrator of this hadith. Ibn Hajar al-Haythami says, I haven't seen his biography, i.e. I don't know who he is. So how can this narration be authentic if this individual is unknown? And I have the Arabic here as well.
Don't say it's unknown. Don't say it's unknown. And Haythami just said, I don't know.
Yes,
he said it in Mujma' al-Zawaid wa Manba' al-Fawaid, right?
I don't know where it is, but this is the Arabic. But they say that if Ibn Hajar al-Haythami didn't know him, then he's unknown and therefore he can't be used.
No, that's what I'm saying to you. One Imam might say, I don't know him. He's talking about, he didn't say it's not known. He said, I don't know it, right? That's what you said, right?
Just check the Arabic there, see what he said.
He said, Lam ara, I haven't seen. Man dhakara lahu tarjama. Anyone who mentioned his biography. I'm saying Ibn Hajar's teacher, Zainuddin al-Iraqi. I'm talking about Al-Imam Zainuddin al-Iraqi, the teacher of Hafiz ibn Hajar, is saying to you, رواه الطبراني في الكبير بإسناد لا بأس به, with a chain that there's no harm in it. Okay? So if one negates it, and one affirms it, the qaida is al-muthbit muqaddamun ala al-nafi. The one who affirms it takes precedence over the one who negates.
No, so he's a teacher of the student.
No, Iraqi is the teacher of Hafiz ibn Hajar.
Okay.
Imamun fil hadith.
Yeah.
He's the author of the Kitab Al-Fiyat al-Iraqi, right? The Nadm. Sakhawi explaining Kitab Fath al-Mughith. So, by the way, I'll tell you this argument. I know where it came from. So I don't even want to mention where it was taken from. Okay. But personally, I haven't come across. Hence that why this person couldn't weaken it based on a scholar. Before a lot of them, they weaken the hadith by saying Fulan weakened it. And Fulan weakened
That's correct,
it.
yeah.
But here it wasn't mentioned who weakened it. Okay. So, also another thing. Wallahi, may Allah make, matters easy for us.
Amen.
If you say that no to that one, and you reject that statement, and there's another hadith I'm going to bring you from Ibn Abi Shaybah from Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. And there are many asanid and many. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud's qawl is ma'ruf in this mas'ala. Many qawl he said regarding Hajjaj and many things he was asked about. Radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Anyways, there's another statement of Abu Mas'ud al-Badri. He said, اتقوا الله واصبروا حتى يستريح بر أو يستراح من فاجر وعليكم بالجماعة فإن الله لا يجمع أمة محمد على ضلالة. Abi Mas'ud al-Badri radiyallahu ta'ala, he said, اتقوا الله, fear Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, واصبروا, and be patient, حتى يستريح بر, so that the righteous one can find raha. أو يستراح من فاجر, or the people can find relaxation from the one who is a transgressor min fajirin. Look what he said, وَعَلَيْكُمْ بِالْجَمَاعَةِ. Stick with the jama'ah. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَجْمَعُ أُمَّةَ مُحَمَّدٍ عَلَى ضَلَالَةٍ. Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, he said, إِسْنَادُهُ صَحِيحٌ. The chain of this is صحيح. وَمِثْلُهُ لَا يُقَالُ مِنْ قِبَلِ الرَّأْيِ. Add that on it as well. He said, this statement of Abu Mas'ud al-Badri, he says in his Kitab Talkhis al-Habir, the 3rd volume, page 296. Hafiz ibn Hajar said that first of all, the chain is sahih. And he also said this is not a matter, a person can say this from their own opinion. So he's trying to say it's mawquful lafdan marfu'u hukman. The wording is mawquf, yani Abu Mas'ud al-Badri did not attribute it to the Prophet. Like in the ruling that he takes is the hukm al-raf'i. It's like the Prophet said it.
Yeah, because he wouldn't have known that for himself.
La majala lil-ra'yi fihi. That's what he's trying to say to you. So my point is, the first point I'm trying to say is, he went against these people. He also went against the statement of Anas ibn Malik, Hussein radiallahu anhu, where Anas said, Nahana kubara'una, our seniors, they prohibited us from what? Min ashabi Rasulillah. That's what I'm saying, there's ijma' amongst the Sahabas. From what? They said, لا تسبوا أمراءكم ولا تغشوهم ولا تعصوهم واتقوا الله واصبروا فإن الأمر قريب. Anas ibn Malik is saying this is advice that was given to us by who? By our seniors.
And he himself is a companion, right?
He's a companion.
Yeah, and he's saying our seniors.
Ibn Abi Asim narrated this in his Sunnah, the 2nd volume, page 488. And Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah authenticated it in the Kitab Dhilal al-Jannah. He has a kitab on it. He authenticated it. Rahimahullah. Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah ta'ala. So he's saying, لا تصبوا أمراءكم, don't insult your leaders. And this is saying that our seniors, this is what they said to us. وَلَا تَغُشُّوهُمْ, don't deceive them. وَلَا تَعْصُوهُمْ, don't disobey them. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ فِرَ اللَّهِ and وَاصْبِرُوا, be patient regarding their affairs. فَإِنَّ الْأَمْرَ قَرِيبٌ. So these are the senior Sahabas who spoke about this issue. Abdullah ibn Abbas said, استأذنني حسين في الخروج. Hussein asked me to leave. By the way, khuruj here, it doesn't mean revolting against Hussein. It means he asked me to leave to Kufa. يعني خروج إلى الكوفة. He asked me if he can go to Kufa. فقلت, I said to him, لولا أن يزري ذلك بي أو بك لشبكت بيدي في رأسك. He's talking about the issue of leaving. He asked me if he could leave and go to Kufa. And I told him, if it wouldn't have caused a big issue and people are not going to say things about me and you, this issue, I would have grabbed onto your beard and head and I would have held you down. Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, look what he said. He said, عجل حسين قدره عجل حسين قدره عجل حسين قدره لو أدركته ما كان ليخرج إلا أن يغلبني. Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As didn't get the chance to meet him. But he said, Wallahi, Hussein, he hastened his qadr. He hastened his qadr. Wallahi, if I caught him, he would never have gone. I mean, he would have wrestled on this issue. We would have wrestled on this issue. Why would these Sahabas go that far saying that if it's a valid difference of opinion?
Yeah.
And why would he wrestle with somebody and fight with him if it's a valid difference of opinion?
And they're talking about, they're coming from the perspective, because they understood this wasn't a khuruj, as they come from the perspective of the ijma', which is the second ijma' that you mentioned, which if you don't want to do something which is going to bring greater harm, they're coming from that perspective.
And this statement of Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, I want to mention, Ibn Kathir mentioned his Bidayah when he had the 11th volume, page 497. He mentions it, and guess what he says after that? He says, وَإِسْنَادُهُ صَحِيح. He says what? وَإِسْنَادُهُ صَحِيح. By the way, when we, and if somebody tried to weaken these narrations and these events, and bring us somebody to weaken it. Don't just say it's weak. I check the chain. Or you check the chain and you mention a name to us. You're not min Ahlul Hadith. Okay? Your view doesn't matter to us and what it means. Just mention Fulan weakened it. And then what we would do is we compare that statement of that person that you bring and the other people. We'll check it together and we will show the people, inshallah ta'ala. And then it's a science. We'll follow the protocols, inshallah ta'ala. Ibn Sa'd, if you go to his Tabaqat, he mentions many Sahabas who went against Hussein. From them is Abdullah ibn Umar, Abi Sa'id al-Khudri, Abi Waqid al-Laythi, Jabir ibn Abdullah, Abdullah ibn Zubayr as well, and Al-Miswar ibn Makhrama, and even his brother. Hussein's own brother, Muhammad ibn Hanafiya, said to him, why are you going for? Don't go. Don't what? Don't go. Another thing I want to mention here, and I think it's very important that I mention. Let's say, okay, and I haven't still got to the issue of Hussein not doing khuruj.
And by the way, I'm going to be bringing these statements of the companions up again to show how they use these statements of the companions, but that's going to be coming soon, inshallah.
Okay. What I want to say is, Hussein radiallahu ta'ala, or any other companion, I want people to understand this point. A Sahabi might sometimes go against a issue which is واضح الدلالة, واضح الدلالة. A mas'ala that is known, clear. A matter which is a nas, the Sahabi might go against it. Or a matter that is even known in Islam, it's known out of necessity. يعني معلوم من الدين بالضرورة. It could happen, a Sahabi might go against it متأولا, with a ta'wil, an interpretation that he sees. And that does not in any way, shape or form put that Sahabi down. Let's take an example.
Does it mean there's a difference of opinion though?
I'm going to come to it.
Okay.
Because when I give the example, the person will say, oh.
Okay, fine.
We have a noble companion by the name of Qudamah ibn Mad'un. Qudamah ibn Mad'un is a Badriyun, and he participated in the Battle of Badr. You already know, right, the reward of the people of Badr.
Yes.
And not only that, I'm going to mention three things about him. He's first of all, Qudamah ibn Mad'un, he's min as-sabiqina ila al-Islam. He's from the early people who entered Islam. So there's virtue of the people of Sahabas. There's two types. There are people who are known as those who took Islam من قبل الفتح وقاتل أولئك أعظم درجة. Allah mentioned they got the higher reward. So he's min sabiqin, early people who took Islam. Not only that, he participated in the Battle of Badr. Not only that, he participated in the Battle of Uhud. And he's got a high station. And you find this, when you hear this name, Fulan ibn Fulan al-Badri. It became a title given to the person. Because Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, you know what he said to the people of Badr? He said, do what you wish. Do what you wish. Wow. Allah has forgiven you. That's what he said to the people of Badr.
That's the status that they had.
The station that they had. Qudamah ibn Mad'un radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he drank alcohol muta'awilan. He brought evidence for it.
He believed it was permissible.
He brought I wouldn't use that word istihlal, but what I would say, and I specifically just said, is that he drank alcohol muta'awilan.
Okay.
He drank alcohol with ta'wil. And this is, everybody who's watching now would say, alcohol.
Everybody knows that's not a difference of opinion.
You know, when he drank it wasn't even the early stage of Al-Islam. You might say, oh, but are you sure he didn't hear the hadith? No. It was the time of Umar. Umar actually appointed him as the leader, as Abdul Razak ibn Hammam al-San'ani mentioned in his Musannaf. He appointed him as the leader for what? For the people of Bahrain. And that's where he got mentioned that he was drinking alcohol. So Umar radiallahu anhu confronted him. He said, yeah. So Umar said, hey, why? He said, did Allah not say in the Quran, لَيْسَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ جُنَاحٌ فِي مَا طَعِمُوا إِذَا مَا اتَّقَوْا. He said, there's no harm. If a person comes with the quality of taqwa, what they drink or what they eat doesn't matter. So that's shubha, right?
Okay, but where are you getting this story from?
Abdul Razak ibn Hammam al-San'ani mentions in his Musannaf.
Authentic.
It's authentic. Yes, authentic. It's authentic. I'm telling you now, pay attention here. This is a Sahabiyun Badriyun Shahida Uhud. He's from the Sabiqeen al-Awwalina, the early people to Islam. Can somebody today say, based on the action of this companion Qudamah ibn Mad'un, it is permissible for me to drink alcohol?
No, of course there's not. Well, it's well known that there's no difference.
And I really like this. Qudamah ibn Mad'un brought evidences for his action. Hussein didn't.
He just did the action. He didn't even do the action. He supposedly did the action.
Which I'm going to come to khuruj. But even if I do say tanazzulan, he did khuruj. Can we say, based on Qudamah ibn Mad'un's action, that is a difference of opinion on this issue?
No.
Can we say that?
No, of course not.
If you say to me about Umar radiallahu anhu corrected him, and same with Hussein. If you say to me, Qudamah ibn Mad'un was corrected for what he did, and Umar radiallahu anhu actually lashed him for it, I'm going to say to you, the same applies with Hussein's action. Actually, more people critiqued Hussein on this action that we textually have than Qudamah ibn Mad'un's action. Araft? The second point I want to say is,
and also, sorry, just interject. It shouldn't be an argument being brought forward that more people, like from the time of the Salaf, because numbers don't matter, because they've said that as long as we hold on to one Sahabi, there's a difference of opinion. That's what they've said before. So they should have a difference of opinion in the issue of drinking alcohol by that logic.
No, there's actually other evidences that there are a group of people in Medina went and they drank alcohol at the time of Umar radiallahu anhu.
Okay,
so there's tabi'in, or even if they're sahabas. The point I'm trying to come to is no one's going to come and say, based on this, it's a valid difference of opinion to drink alcohol and etc. No one would. Now I've got another issue, which is when Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala anhu died.
Yeah.
Okay. Al-Imam Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu had given bay'ah to Muawiyah. There was a bay'ah he gave to Muawiyah. Lakin he did not give bay'ah to Yazid ibn Muawiyah.
So this is just this important. I'm sorry to interrupt again. All what you said so far is just if you concede that he did make khuruj, these are the different rebuttals to that anyway. Yeah. Even if we say, for argument's sake, he did make khuruj, it still isn't a valid difference of opinion because of everything you said so far. Now you're actually going to go into the reality, which is what you believe he didn't even make khuruj in the first place, and you're going to prove that. In which case, there is not even the smallest of leg to stand on. Okay.
Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu never gave bay'ah to Yazid.
Okay.
He didn't. So number one, these people are saying you can do khuruj on a leader that bay'ah has been given to.
Yeah.
Hussein didn't give bay'ah to him. Someone might say, but I haven't given bay'ah to this leader. Hussein is min ahli al-hall wal-aqd. You are not from min ahli al-hall wal-aqd. Your bay'ah, as I proved before when I was speaking, your bay'ah is connected to the bay'ah of Ahlul Hal wal Aqd. Hussein is from the people of Ahlul Hal wal Aqd. Hence why Yazid sent for Abdullah ibn Zubayr and Hussein to give bay'ah. He didn't send for everybody else. Because who cares if you give bay'ah or not? Who are you? You can get arrested easily. Like Hussein has shawka. He's min Ahlul Hal wal Aqd. Very important points I want you to take on board before you start throwing those shubhas at me.
No doubt.
Hussein never gave bay'ah to Yazid. It's very important for me. You can't use that in a country where you're in. Bay'ah has been given to this leader by Ahlul Hal wal Aqd. You can't come and say, I'm going to do khuruj and use Hussein. Because what Hussein did and what you're talking about is different. First of all, Hussein didn't give bay'ah to Yazid, which really cripples the argument of khuruj aslan. Because Hussein didn't pull a hand back from. Second thing is that Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu did not have istiqrar of the matter. The matter wasn't fully in his hand because Muawiyah just passed away. So it was a transition.
Yazid or Hussein didn't have.
Sorry, Yazid.
Yazid didn't have full control of the matter. It was in transition period. Okay.
It was a transitional moment. So it wasn't like the leader was already there and he was in power and everything. Hussein gave bay'ah to Muawiyah and never did khuruj on Muawiyah. Never. His bay'ah was with Muawiyah for the years, for the many years that Muawiyah was running the Muslim land. Khalas. Even Hassan ibn Ali came to Sham, gave bay'ah to Muawiyah, and that's how it was. When Yazid came like in, Hussein radiallahu anhu said, as for me, I'm not going to give you bay'ah. And as I mentioned in the story, him and Abdullah ibn Zubayr, they sneaked out from what? Medina, and they came to Mecca. No bay'ah to Yazid. The matter has not fully gone into the hands of Yazid yet, at this moment. Hussein now, guess what? He hears about the people of Kufa have broken their contract with Yazid. They left the bay'ah they gave to Yazid. They pulled it back. There's no longer are the people of Kufa under the bay'ah of who? Yazid. Hussein didn't ask for them. Hussein didn't go out for them. They sent him letters once they heard that Hussein didn't want to give bay'ah. The information reached them and they're like, we want Hussein to come to us. Hussein's view is this. He is, I'm going to go to Kufa and I'm going to be the leader of Kufa and that land. And Yazid doesn't have to give bay'ah to me as much as I don't have to give bay'ah to him. Now, is that right or wrong? That's the discussion where the Sahabas critiqued him on. Hence why they didn't talk to him about the issue of khuruj. He's going to a land, there is no bay'ah of Yazid there. He hasn't even given bay'ah to Yazid aslan.
Yazid's khilaf has not been established fully. It's in the process.
It's a transitional moment.
Yeah.
So Hussein radiallahu anhu. Another thing to add on top of that, Hafidh ibn Kathir mentions this. He says, وَلَمَّا أُخِذَتِ الْبَيْعَةُ لِيَزِيدَ فِي حَيَاةِ مُعَاوِيَةَ كَانَ الْحُسَيْنُ مِمَّنِ امْتَنَعَ مِنْ مُبَايَعَتِهِ هُوَ. It's a very important point for me. He refused to give bay'ah. وابن الزبير وعبد الرحمن بن أبي بكر وابن عمر وابن عباس. Even Ibn Umar ibn Abbas at the beginning, they didn't accept it. ثم مات ابن أبي بكر عبد الرحمن بن أبي بكر died وهو مصمم على ذلك فلما مات معاوية سنة 60 وبويع ليزيد بايع ابن عمر وابن عباس. Ibn Umar ibn Abbas, once Muawiyah passed away, they gave their bay'ah. Why? This is the mistake that Hussein did and Abdullah ibn Zubayr did, which Abdullah ibn Umar and Abdullah ibn Abbas didn't do, which is they realized that Hussein has shawka, has strength. Things are in hand for him. Hussein did not see that. He did not see the istiqrar al-amr for Yazid, according to him. Also, he didn't give bay'ah. Abdullah ibn Umar didn't do khuruj. If Abdullah ibn Umar went with Hussein, you would say, okay. He gave bay'ah.
He's given bay'ah already, yeah.
Yeah, they gave bay'ah. Yeah. And Abdullah ibn Abbas. Hussein radiallahu anhu didn't give that bay'ah. He said, I'm not going to give that. Another thing I'm going to tell you. Abdullah ibn Zubayr, look, he didn't give bay'ah, but he didn't leave with Hussein. He didn't leave with Hussein. Yeah. He stayed in Mecca. فعكف الناس على الحسين يفدون إليه. Look at this. Ibn Kathir is statement very powerful. He says, after he said, وصمم على المخالفة الحسين وابن الزبير وخرج من المدينة فارين إلى مكة. I mentioned that's part of the story. فأما بها فأقام بها. They stayed in Mecca. Hussein just stayed in Mecca. فعكف الناس على حسين. People did اعتكاف on Hussein. يفدون إليه. They're coming to him in numbers. ويقدمون عليه ويجلسون حواليه. They're sitting around him ويستمعون كلامه. They start listening to his speech حتى سمعوا بموت معاوية وخلافة يزيد. Muawiyah passed away. Yazid came into power now. People start. Okay. That's the point I really want people to understand. So Hussein radiallahu anhu so far, he didn't do bay'ah for Yazid.
And this is not disputed even by the other party. They agree with that.
He didn't. That there was no bay'ah for him. But why would they use evidence to say that you're allowed to do khuruj? Because once you say khuruj, it means you give bay'ah and you take your bay'ah back. That's not what that's not what happened. Another point I want to mention, which is Hussein, he regretted the leaving that he did. Not the khuruj he did. He didn't do khuruj. The fact that he thought going to Kufa and that he has shawka, Hussein thought he had shawka and strength and ability, and the fact that he believed that the same way that Yazid ibn Muawiyah has shawka in the people of Sham and the lands that he governs, I have the same for Kufa. He regretted that. It wasn't khuruj. He regretted that particular action that he did.
Where?
الإمام ابن تيمية رحمه الله يقول وأحاديث النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم التي يأمر فيها بقتال المفارقة للجماعة لم تتناوله. The hadith which we hear the Prophet saying, anyone who cuts the unity of the Muslims, شق عصا المسلمين, to cuts the Muslim, breaks the Muslim unity, he says those hadith don't apply on Hussein. Why? فإنه رضي الله عنه لم يفرق الجماعة. He didn't do تفرقة الجماعة. Why? ولم يقتل إلا وهو طالب للرجوع إلى بلده. Because Hussein was killed whilst trying to return back to his land. أو إلى الثغر أو إلى يزيد. He put these three options. Remember I mentioned. Hussein said, I want to go back to my land. Or take me to the border and I'll be a border controller and I'll do that. A police for the Muslim. Or I want to go to Yazid. داخلا في الجماعة. He entered the Jama'ah. معرضا عن تفرقة الأمة. He turned away from dividing the Muslims. And that was the advice that was given to him by who? That was what was said to him by Abdullah ibn Umar. So Imam al-Tabari, Ibn Jarir al-Tabari, he mentions that Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma, he went to Hussein and Ibn Zubayr. He stood in front of both of them and he said, ittaqaya Allah. Both of you fear Allah tabarak wa ta'ala. وَلَا تُفَرِّقَا جَمَاعَةَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. And do not break the ranks of the Muslims. And then the thing that they did that they could be accused of was this. Ibn Jarir al-Tabari mentions this in his kitab Tarikh al-Rusul wal-Muluk, the 5th volume, page 343. This is what they did. And Ibn Taymiyyah is saying Hussein now is not in that discussion right now. Why? Because he asked to return back to his land. Yeah. He said, I don't want to be part of any of this. So I'm saying, let's say Hussein did khuruj, according to you guys. He repented. فكيف يحتج بفعل ندم منه. how could we use an action that he regretted? How could you reuse an action that what? He regretted. Now someone might come and say, but Hussein only came back from this after he realized that he hasn't got power. It wasn't his choice. He didn't
He was
want
forced
to.
into it. Yeah, that's exactly what I've got here.
So what did he say?
He was coerced into it. He was forced into it. He realized things have gone wrong. I've got no other option now. That's exactly the argument that they bring, which I was going to ask you about later. They say the only reason he repented is because he was forced into it. He had no other choice.
And he didn't do it because he felt like it was the right thing.
No, he was stuck with his family. He was in a difficult situation. He's got no choice.
And that he didn't have power.
He didn't have power.
Okay, look at a statement Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah says. Look what Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah says. Ibn Taymiyyah responds to this shubha they bring. Rahimahullah. He says, وَكَذَلِكَ الْحُسَيْنِ Hussein radiallahu anhu لم يقتل إلا مظلوما شهيدا. He was killed unjustly. He was killed as a martyr. تاركا لطلب الإمارة. He was walking away from this leadership and everything. He didn't want it. طالبا للرجوع. He wanted to go back. إما إلى بلده أو إلى ثغر أو إلى المتولي على الناس يزيد. Or go to Yazid and give bay'ah to him. And then Hussein did not believe the idea of what? خروج على الحاكم الفاسق. Why? Because he said, I'm going to give him bay'ah now. Okay? وإذا قال القائل. If a sayer says, Ibn Taymiyyah said, إن علي والحسين, that Ali and Hussein, إنما ترك القتال في آخر الأمر. That Hussein, he left رضي الله تعالى عنه the matter at the ending of this stage للعجز, because he was unable.
Yeah.
لأنه لم يكن لهما أنصار. Because him and his father didn't have anyone to aid them. That's why they left the matter. فكان في المقاتلة قتل النفوس بلا حصول المصلحة المطلوبة. And Hussein felt, okay, that if he fought that he wouldn't attain the maslahah he's looking for here.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't got the strength. Ibn Taymiyyah says, قيل له, it will be said to that person, وهذا بعينه, this is the same reason why the Sharia said don't go against the oppressive Muslim leader. He said, وهذا بعينه هو الحكمة التي رعاها الشارع صلى الله عليه وسلم في النهي عن الخروج على الأمراء. What Hussein felt at that moment is what everybody who goes against a leader, an oppressive Muslim leader, will go through.
They've just proven the wisdom of the ruling. That's all they've done.
That's what they did. وندب إلى ترك القتال في الفتنة. وإن كان الفاعلون لذلك يرون أن مقصودهم الأمر بالمعروف والنهي عن المنكر. Even if the person says, I'm going to call it to good and prohibit the evil. كالذين خرجوا على الحرة وبديم الجماجم على يزيد والحجاج وغيرهما. Then Ibn Taymiyyah says, لكن إذا لم يزل المنكر إلا بما هو أنكر منه صار إزالته على هذا الوجه منكرا. وإذا لم يحصل المعروف إلا بمنكر مفسدته أعظم من مصلحة ذلك المعروف كان تحصيل ذلك المعروف على هذا الوجه منكرا. So there's no really way to go about the issue of Hussein. It's very tricky for those people. It's very hard.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to mention, which they mention that, some people, they say,
So I've got some of these. Like,
okay, ask.
And then maybe if I've left any out, then you can go to. Before I go on to the questions that they put forward, I just want to summarize the issue, and I want you to pay attention because I might have got something wrong as I'm trying to summarize it because it's going to be from memory. So first of all, Hussein radiallahu anhu did not even give bay'ah to Yazid, which means that the khuruj aslan doesn't even come into the topic of discussion. And the reason why I said earlier that they don't disagree with that is because, as far as I'm aware, they don't disagree with that anyway, is because it's not something new you're bringing. This is well known. Everyone knows this. And the fact that at the end he said, let me go to Yazid to give bay'ah, proves that he hadn't given bay'ah so far. That's number one. Very important point. He hadn't given bay'ah to Yazid, and the khuruj is when you're going against a leader who is leading over you. And by definition, that only happens after you give bay'ah. Therefore, khuruj can't even be discussed in this particular topic.
So just added on to this, something I missed. The people who give bay'ah, we already mentioned Ahlul Hal wal Aqd.
That's what I was going to go on to next. Okay. The second thing is, it's a really important point, that Hussein was from this special group called Ahlul Hal wal Aqd. This special group of people are the people with power and authority who, as you mentioned in your introduction, the principles, you spoke about them in detail. They're the people who are allowed to put people in power, etc. Those people are not the same as the average citizen. And that's something that they ask. They say, if Hussein didn't give bay'ah and therefore he can do khuruj, then therefore if 50% of the population don't give bay'ah, etc., which I'm going to continue with I'm going to ask those questions. But that's a really important point, that comparing Hussein to any other person, the average Joe on the street, already you made a fundamental error, because Hussein is from Ahlul Khali wal Aqd. And Ahlul Khali wal Aqd, it's not an unknown issue. It actually has a Wikipedia page in the English language. I looked at it the other day. In the English language, it has a Wikipedia page. I'm not lying. It's there. And it says there.
But Wikipedia is not a proof. But yeah, I know what you mean.
No problem. It's not a proof. The fact that even they've mentioned this term and they've spoken about it, it's a political term. It's the religion of Islam for people to appoint a leader. It shows that someone, it's not a hidden term. It's basically what I'm saying.
And I mentioned the ijma'at on that issue.
Yeah. But for someone, and that's where, again, my husn comes in and say, I don't believe they're doing this intentionally. I believe what happens a lot on the other side is that they misunderstand a fundamental issue like this, and they build 1 hour, 2 hour long arguments on top of that, but it's all based on this misunderstanding. And I believe, again, it's not intentional. I genuinely believe that. I believe it's just out of ignorance, but like you said, regardless of which one it is.
It's as bad as each other.
Okay. The second thing is that Yazid's Khalifa at this time, or Yazid's Khilafah at this time, was not even established. It's not like a ruler right now.
It is established in reality, like according to Hussein.
Because he's from Ahlul Khali wal Aqd and he hasn't given bay'ah yet.
So no, Hussein radiallahu anhu doesn't believe that Yazid's استتب له الأمر. The matter is all over for him. He can see the people of Kufa went khuruj. Okay?
Okay.
I want people to see Hussein's vision and what he was doing. Right or wrong, we will discuss it with him. Ibn Abbas ibn Umar believed Hussein has everything. Everything's under his fist. Why are you causing disunity to the Muslims? They differed with him on that vision. But what I want people to understand is that Hussein's issue, yes, it was wrong what he did. Radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. But it wasn't khuruj. It was not khuruj. He was corrected on the issue of believing that Yazid radiyallahu ta'ala, thinking that Yazid hasn't got, the matter is not for him. When Abdullah ibn Abbas and Umar believed, yes, it is.
Okay.
The premise that Hussein is picking up from is different from what these people are arguing about.
But what if a normal person has that premise and believes that that person doesn't have the full khilaf, full authority, and therefore I can also...
The reality goes against them. Like it's ma'loom, it's well known in the sense where you see a country, you came through a visa. There was, his pictures all over the place, you can see it. You ask the people, the Joe on the street and say, who's the leader of the country, will tell you. عرفت?
Okay, second question is, when a leader passes down the Khilafah to another leader, Muawiyah passed it down to Yazid. Do Ahlul Khali wal Aqd at that point have to give the bay'ah?
Oh, of course they do.
Every time it's passed down?
Every time. Every leader that comes in, of course.
That's a huge crucial point as well then, because the Khilafah...
So why did Yazid call one, Abdullah ibn Zubayr and Hussein to give bay'ah? Why is he fighting with them if it was already in place?
If he was just an average Joe, he wouldn't even care about them. Okay, that's another really important point. Fourthly, his action, well, like we said before, was not khuruj. And it can't be khuruj because he hadn't given bay'ah. His action and the things that the companions were criticizing for him and trying to prevent him from doing was the disunity of the Muslims, separating the Muslims. That's where you say that he made a mistake, but it wasn't in an issue of khuruj. Is that correct?
Yes. By the way, why did he not go to Sham?
But they say he went to Iraq to pick up the manpower and then go to Sham.
But he didn't even go to Iraq with weapon or soldiers.
No, they were all there in Iraq. Kufa.
Pay attention. Hussein radiallahu anhu didn't go to Kufa that he was going to with soldiers, aslan.
Because he didn't need to, because they already told him, we're happy for you, we're here for you.
Exactly my point. Hussein radiallahu anhu felt, I am the leader of Kufa. I just need to go there. Everything's ready for me.
Yeah.
And Sham, on the other hand, they have their leader. Hussein radiallahu anhu, Hussein didn't go to Kufa to force the people of Kufa to give it to him. Everything was استتب له الأمر. The matter was all there for him. He believes, I am the leader of Kufa here already. Bay'ah has already been given to Muslim Aqil already in advance on my behalf.
I see.
I am the leader of Kufa. I just need to go there. ولذلك Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah mentioned a very crucial point. How can someone convince me and say Hussein radiallahu anhu is going to go to Sham with an army when he didn't go to Kufa with an army? He didn't force it on them. He wasn't even the one who said, give me bay'ah. So they came to him and said, we will give you bay'ah.
So this proves your point you're trying to make, that he didn't believe the Khilafah of Yazid was extended over Iraq or Kufa like that.
It wasn't.
It wasn't.
No, it wasn't. They broke it already. And they came to us once they broke it. And they said, we're not going to take anyone except you now. Rather, look, Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah said something. He said, وَالْحُسَيْنُ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى عَنْهُ مَا خَرَجَ يُرِيدُ الْقِتَالِ. Hussein did not go to fight. وَلَكِنْ ظَنَّ, what he thought was, أَنَّ النَّاسَ يُطِيعُونَهُ, that the people were going to obey him. But he didn't know the reality of people of Kufa. They lied and deceived him.
Yeah.
يطيعونه فلما رأى انصرافهم عنه. But when Hussein came to the place and found out there was nothing there, what did he realize now? That the thing that he was mistaken on now became clear to him, which is Yazid had power over everyone. He now realized that. Now he believes, I have to give bay'ah.
And that's why he gave the thing.
That's why he said to, I want to go to Yazid. I'll speak to Yazid.
So is it fair to me to say, it might not be fair, it might not be right, so correct me if I'm wrong, but is it fair to say it's like a Muslim country in the world nowadays, let's just say Saudi Arabia, for example, it's kind of like Yazid is looking after Sham. Then you have another Muslim country like Kuwait, for example, that's like Kufa or Iraq here, or Kufa, let's just say Kufa here. So it's like a ruler over Saudi Arabia. If somebody else is going for rulership in Kuwait, it's like saying he's made khuruj against the ruler in Saudi Arabia. Is it like that?
Yes, more accurate.
Nobody would ever say that's khuruj. There's two different nouns. Okay, the fifth thing is, just to go on with the summary before I get into the detailed questions, the fifth thing is, even if you say that Hussein radiallahu anhu was doing khuruj, he repented at the end and he turned back and he said, I'll give you three options. Either take me back to the land I came from, or put me on border control, or take me to Yazid and I'll give him bay'ah myself. Even if we entertain all the arguments
that he did khuruj,
there's just no way out of that. And the reason why he repented was khuruj, is because of disuniting the Muslims. And that's where he turned back from. But so you're going to say something for
yeah, so there's not, you can't take التائب من الذنب كمن لا ذنب له. The one who repents from a sin in Islam, what we know is that they have no sin. So Yazid, Hussein is now saying, okay, I'm going to give bay'ah to him. Why is it, what does he mean I'm going to give bay'ah to him? Let's think about this statement. It means I'm not going to do khuruj on him.
If Hussein believed that you could do khuruj,
yeah,
then the bay'ah doesn't mean anything.
Yes, it doesn't.
Because if he's giving bay'ah, he believes he can do khuruj. If he doesn't give bay'ah, I believe I can do khuruj.
Because if Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu didn't believe, or believed you can give bay'ah to someone, break your bay'ah and do khuruj on them, Yazid would be like, no, your madhab is that you believe that you can do khuruj on a person you give bay'ah to. So no, I'm gonna kill you. There's no other option.
Okay.
But he said the one thing I'm gonna have to give you now that I haven't given you before is what? The bay'ah.
Okay. Let's go into the discussions now, okay? The questions that they have for you. The first one is, you say that he didn't do khuruj because he didn't give bay'ah, which we mentioned many times. They say, and again, these answers are going to be repetitive, but we have to go through them. They say, does that mean if 50% of the population refuse to give bay'ah, then those 50% of the population can go against the oppressive ruler?
No, they can't. Who are they?
Yeah, I know, but you have to repeat the answer. I know.
But who are they if they do?
They're not from Ahlul Hali wal Aqd.
They don't have to do bay'ah to the leader and go to him. The bay'ah is done by Ahlul Hali wal Aqd.
Yeah. That crucial misunderstanding of that crucial point has led to this whole confusion.
Look, I'll tell you something. Who was the person who advised Hussein? That I just mentioned, who said, ittaqi Allah to Abdullah ibn Zubair and Hussein, and said, وَلَا تُفَرِّقَ جَمَاعَةَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. Who was it?
Abdullah ibn Umar.
Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu.
Yeah.
When he spoke to both of them, what did he say to both of them? He said, fear Allah tabarak wa ta'ala and do not disunite the Muslims, right? Look at when he advised the people of Harra who did khuruj.
Okay.
Let's compare these two statements.
What did he say?
To show you that the first party didn't do khuruj. The day of Harra, as you know, the people they chose, for people of the people of Ansar, they appointed a leader, and the people of Muhajirin, they appointed a leader. The Muhajirin, they appointed a man by the name of Abdullah ibn Muti' al-Adawi. By the name you already know, al-Adawi is the tribe of Abdullah ibn Umar.
Okay.
He's the same tribe. So when Abdullah ibn Umar heard, by the way, the people of Medina gave bay'ah to Yazid. They were under his. They wanted to go cut off from him, which is khuruj now. Nafi' mentions, he says, Abdullah ibn Umar came to Abdullah ibn Muti' when he heard about the issue of Harra, and they took their bay'ah back from Yazid. So when he entered upon Abdullah ibn Muti' said to the people around, he said, اطرحوا لأبي عبد الرحمن وسادة. Bring a pillow for Abdullah ibn Umar. He said to him, إني لم آتيك لأجلس. I never came to sit down. Abdullah ibn Umar is saying this. I didn't come to sit down. أتيتك لأحدثك. I came to tell you something. حديثا سمعت, in which I heard Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam saying. So the Prophet died. So at the time of, he was advising Ibn Zubayr and Hussein, he knew the hadith. Because he already heard it from the Prophet alayhi sallam. It's not like something he found out.
He heard from another companion.
I had سمعت, I said.
Yeah.
Rasulullah, I heard the Prophet
He already knew the
ﷺ say.
hadith at the time. Yeah, nice. Okay.
Yeah, I heard the hadith from the Prophet. What was the hadith he had? He said, I heard the Prophet say, "Man khala'a yadan min ta'atin." The one who takes back a hand of obedience that he gave. لَقِيَ اللَّهَ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ لَا حُجَّةَ لَهُ. That person will meet Allah the day of judgment. There's no hujjah for him. وَمَنْ مَاتَ, and anyone who dies, وَلَيْسَ فِي عُنُقِهِ بَيْعَةٌ مَاتَ مِيتَةً جَاهِلِيَّةً. That person will die the death of jahiliyyah. The dynamics of Hussein, and this is different. Hussein, he's saying to Ibn Umar and Abdullah ibn Abbas, I have bay'ah given to me. I am a leader. Yazid is not doing khuruj to me, and I'm not doing khuruj to him. So that's why he said, you're causing disunity of the Muslims then. Like in Abdullah ibn Muti', you guys are doing khuruj. Because that was what they were doing.
That's a very crucial point to mention.
And that's in Sahih Muslim. No.
So Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, he came to two situations. I know I have to drill it at home, but I really have to simplify it a lot. So he came to two situations. The first situation is Hussein and Ibn Zubair. Second one is people who did do khuruj. The first people, he advised them, saying, don't disunite the Muslims. He never mentioned that hadith in Sahih Muslim that you mentioned earlier. He never said, don't do khuruj, don't do this, don't take it back from the leader. He didn't say any of that. The second situation, he did say that because they were doing khuruj. It's not good enough to say he didn't know the hadith here and he knew it there, because he heard the hadith from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself, and both times were after the death of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The fact that he didn't use it here shows that he understood this is not khuruj, and the fact he used it here shows that he understood that it was. Okay, so we've already dispelled the argument that 50% of the population don't give bay'ah, now we can go against the ruler, etc., because it's not the same as Hussein, who was from Ahlul Khali wal Aqd.
How do we even know this whole discussion? How do we even know that Hussein radiallahu anhu knew these ahadith and he chose to go against them?
Yeah.
Plus, I'm telling you something. Ibn Abbas is more knowledgeable than Hussein. Abdullah ibn Umar is more knowledgeable than Hussein, and senior than him in age. Do you understand my point?
Yeah.
I know.
Okay. The next thing that I want to ask is, from the people who, because remember, you're trying to prove an ijma' of the companions, aren't you?
Yeah.
From the people, and it says 12,000 somewhere, so 12,000 people gave bay'ah to Hussein from Kufa. There's a large number of people now who have actually done khuruj because they had given bay'ah to Yazid, if that narration is correct. So there's a lot of ifs here, but we just have to cover everything. If that narration is correct. Not one companion from them?
There's something that I want to mention that is important.
Okay.
The person has to prove to me that this Sahabi, first of all, gave bay'ah to Yazid. And then they have to prove to me that Sahabi broke the bay'ah they gave to Yazid. If you can't, Habibi, your argument doesn't stand.
And if they can't, the ijma' of the companions is not unbroken, and it's not broken. Sorry, it's not broken, and it's still there. Okay.
Because I will say no Sahabi's ever done khuruj.
Yeah. Okay.
There is a Sahabi that I know of. His name is called Sulaiman ibn Suradin. He's a Sahabi. But I have not come across any narration in where Sulaiman ibn Suradin gave bay'ah to Yazid and broke it. Sulaiman ibn Suradin was the people who believed they deceived Hussein. He felt like him and the people that were in Kufa gave Hussein a false impression that they were there for him and everything. And now Hussein was killed. And they found out that he was killed. Sulaiman ibn Suradin and others, what they did was they made an army known as Jaysh al-Tawabin, the army of the repenters. And they waged war on Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. They killed him. And they did tha'ar for Hussein. Something that historically happened after that. These people, they didn't have bay'ah with Yazid.
So against the khuruj.
Yeah, they were with Hussein. Okay? A lot of the people of Hussein that gave bay'ah to Muslim al-Aqil, they went back to Yazid and gave bay'ah to him. And a lot of the people didn't. From the people who didn't give bay'ah to Yazid after that and kept his bay'ah with Hussein was Sulaiman ibn Suradin. So he didn't do khuruj. But what he did was he fought to bring back he bought the revenge for Hussein radiallahu anhu, and the fact that he got deceived like that. He fought for that cause. So I don't. You can tell me 12,000, and you prove to me the Sahabi was in it.
Yeah.
Why do you want me to prove that the Sahabi wasn't in there?
And just to remind the people again, because we're talking about bay'ah to Yazid and whether they had bay'ah to Yazid, when the Khalifatul Muslimin goes from Muawiyah, who has the whole Muslim land, and it's passed down to Yazid, it's not automatically there. The Ahlul Khali wal Aqd have to give the bay'ah again, it's very important because otherwise people are on behalf of their people, and people are just going to think, but it just got passed down. So surely by default he had everything. So just have to keep reminding the people, inshallah.
Another thing I want to mention, I think it's very important. A lot of fitan that you're going to hear that they say this much people fought in it. These are awamun nas. A lot of it's the awamun nas. It's not the senior scholars and they're not people of knowledge. We're not like, it's awam.
Yeah.
That's why you mentioned Sahabas right now. You mentioned it, Hussein, and why are they the ones that people mention if there a lot of the 12,000 Sahabas were there?
Yeah.
Why is Hussein going to change?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are some narrations later which I'm going to come on to, which it says the best of people and the best of the Qur'an and the best of...
But I already mentioned a statement from Ibn Taymiyyah. Remember when I said to you that the Afadul, the most senior people were warning against. I specifically brought that quote of Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah for a reason.
Okay, I think we've really covered a lot. Like we've done every if but or maybe. I feel like
the people who did fight, we are going to say they're virtuous people. They were Afadil. They were noble people. Like they were wrong.
Yeah,
and their statement doesn't make it a valid difference of opinion.
And if there's none from the Sahabi that they can prove, or from the Sahabas that they can prove, then an ijma' has occurred between the Sahabas, as well as the ayat from the Quran, as well as the hadith that you mentioned previously.
And if you use the word afadil al-sahaba, the virtuous people were preventing this issue, the opposite will bring the same and say to you the statements of the other great scholars who said that the afadil were preventing it. Abdullah ibn Umar is not from the afadil. Ibn Abbas is not from the afadil. Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As is not from the afadil, who was telling Hussein, don't do it. ولذلك ابن تيمية كلامه said كان أفاضل المسلمين ينهون عن الخروج والقتال في الفتنة كما كان عبد الله بن عمر وسعيد بن المسيب وعلي بن الحسين. His own brother Muhammad al-Hanafi was saying don't go. Abi Sa'id al-Khudri was saying don't go. Abdullah ibn Abbas, Abdullah ibn Umar, are they not from the Afadil?
Of course they are.
Also another thing I want to ask you. The khilaf, let's say there's a khilaf on this mashallah. Can you use the khilaf as a proof? Ibn Abdul Barr says something in his kitab al-Tamheed. Sorry, in his kitab Jami' Bayan al-Ilm wa Fadli. He says, al-ikhtilafu laysa bihujjatin. The presence of a khilaf is not a proof. عند أحد علمته من فقهاء الأمة. From any scholar I've known from the ulama of Islam. إلا من لا بصر له ولا معرفة عنده ولا حجة في قوله. Except a person who does not have no insight, who has no understanding, who has no proof. That type of person. Hussein, does he even know about the issue of khuruj? What if when they came to him, he didn't even know this issue?
You think he would though? The grandson of the Prophet ﷺ.
I just said to a Sahabi drank alcohol. Yeah. He's min Ahl al-Badr. Sabiqeen. You know there's many masail Abu Bakr didn't know. And Umar didn't know. The other Sahabas told him, and Abu Bakr said, I didn't know. And Umar said, I haven't. It's not. It may not be known to Hussein radiallahu anhu. My point is, دخل في الاحتمال سقط به الاستدلال. There's a lot of ambiguity in this action of Hussein that you're asking me. This happened, this.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, let's go into some of the questions then. So they say, because obviously you say that Hussein didn't even do khuruj. The first thing they bring forward is books written by classical scholars that mention the word khuruj. So I'm going to have to go through them here.
Okay. You have it written here?
Yeah, I do. You can have a look, inshallah. Okay. Ibn Khaldun, for example, he says in the first volume of the Muqaddimah of Ibn Khaldun, it says, as for Hussein, when the transgression of Yazid became apparent, a party from Ahlul Bayt came to Hussein, and Hussein came to the opinion that he was obligated to do khuruj, the word khuruj is written, against Yazid ibn Muawiyah due to his sin and transgression.
Okay. Ibn Khaldun is not hujjah.
But why should we trust you who says no khuruj is done over a scholar?
We just looked at it right now.
Yeah, okay.
He hasn't even given bay'ah to him. So, when we looked at this issue and we said he hasn't given a bay'ah, that's the khuruj that we're talking about. Maybe the definition of khuruj to Ibn Khaldun is different from what we're looking at. My discussion with you, Habibi, I'm discussing with you, is a person gave bay'ah to a leader. Or there is a bay'ah for this leader. Because you might not be given the bay'ah. Ahlul Hal wal Aqd gave it on your behalf. There is a bay'ah for this leader. Istatabba lahu al-amr. The matter is in his hand. Can you go? And he's an oppressive. He's not a kafir. He's an oppressive leader. Can you go against him? That's our discussion. Hussein didn't. أما ابن خلدون statement وأما الحسين فإنه لما ظهر فسق يزيد عند الكافة من أهل عصره بعث شيعة أهل البيت بالكوفة للحسين أن يأتيهم فقوموا بأمره فرأى الحسين أن الخروج على يزيد متعين من أجل فسقه لا سيما من له القدرة على ذلك وظنها من نفسه بآليته وشوكته. يعني that doesn't make it a proof. It doesn't make it a hujjah for me to say Allahu Akbar.
Just because he mentioned the word khuruj, yeah, we have to look at the situation and see what's happened. Okay, the next one is, again, a similar kind of example, so the answer is going to be the same. In the book Shadaratul Dhahab, written by Ibn Imad al-Hanbali, it says, it has been transmitted by agreement, the word al-ittifaq is used, that there was correctness, i.e. it was appropriate and he had the right to, in the khuruj of Hussein against Yazid. So again, it goes on to say the khuruj of Ibn Zubayr as well. So again, he says it is by agreement, it's transmitted by agreement.
Was Hussein right to believe that he's more fitter for the role than Yazid?
Yeah, he was.
You have the Arabic?
Yeah, you can have it.
Can I see it?
Yeah, of course, it's the one at the bottom there.
So the statement of what's his name, Ibn Khaldun, is different from the statement of
Ibn Ahmad al-Hanbali.
Ibn Ahmad's kalam. Ibn Ahmad saying that there is a ittifaq also على تحسين خروج الحسين على يزيد, that the khuruj of Hussein to Yazid is agreed upon.
So the bit I want is that he mentioned the word khuruj.
Ha.
That's the only bit that's the only thing that I'm trying to prove from there, that he mentioned.
No, there's no proof in this for you. But even this ijma' that he's mentioning, where did he get it from? Ha. Where? The only person he quotes here is Ibn Hazm. We responded to him. Yeah? Yeah? Yeah, نعم. His naql of ijma' he's not min ahli tahqiq, so his naql of the ijma' is not going to be that accurate. Because we got other ijma' that we mentioned.
Okay, next one is Ibn Muflih in his Kitab al-Furu' said Ibn Aqil and Ibn al-Jawzi both saw it be permissible to khuruj against an imam who is not just, and they both mentioned the khuruj of al-Hussein against Yazid.
So all of these people you're mentioning, they're mutaakhirin. You agree with me on that?
Yeah.
You can't bring the Salaf here.
No, of course not.
That's the issue you have.
And even that, the fact that they mentioned the word
I'm bringing to you Ahmed said Harb al-Kilmani, Ismail ibn Yahya al-Muzani, Abu Bakr ibn Abu Bakr al-Ismaili, Abu Bakr Abu Uthman al-Sabuni. Yani I'm mentioning to you A'immat al-Sunnah, A'imma, way before all of these people.
Yeah, and I think the main point is even the fact that just because they mentioned the word khuruj, it doesn't mean it was khuruj. Okay, they say it's khuruj, other scholars say it's not khuruj. Let's have a look at what happened and let's decide it was khuruj. And of course, everybody would
agree that he didn't give bay'ah.
Yes.
That's, as long as we agree on that, that's a good argument. That's good.
Okay, and if, even then, let's just say they would use the word khuruj, maybe they meant leaving.
Let's say he did khuruj. He repented from it.
Yeah, there's many different ways. Okay. The next thing is there, so you say that he made a decision, an ijtihadi decision to go towards the people of Kufa. Now, you also said previously that this issue of imama was, and khuruj is from usuluddin. Can you make ijtihad in a matter that is usuluddin?
So Hussein, he did ijtihad on what?
That going towards the people of Kufa.
Yeah, but he didn't do ijtihad on khuruj. He didn't
agreed. Yeah, definitely, we've agreed on that. But the fact that he had ijtihad in this mas'ala of going to, I mean, I have to bring it because it's what they bring, so I have to just.
So what did he do ijtihad on?
Yeah, he did ijtihad on going towards Kufa.
Because remember, you can do ijtihad on opening a book of Aqidah.
That's what I mean. So he's done ijtihad on going towards Kufa.
I do ijtihad of waking up every day to
I mean, obviously, again, to be honest, to be fair to them, what they've misunderstood is that he didn't do khuruj. So obviously, once you have a faulty foundation, they think he did ijtihad in khuruj.
Yeah, but I'm saying this.
Of course, we've already responded to that. I just have to go through everything. Well, it's a bit repetitive. Okay, now there's a proof that they bring that Hussein was actually going for the khilafah of Yazid ibn Muawiyah.
Where's the evidence?
Okay, the evidence is Tariq al-Islam, Imam al-Dhahabi, under the chapter of the killing of Hussein, he states, those who were martyred with Hussein were 16 men from Ahlul Bayt. And when he went from Mecca to Kufa, his intention was to seek the Khilafah. And the word mentioned here is al-Khilafah. And again, you can have a look at the Arabic, al-Khilafah. And they say that clearly if the mention is mentioned Khilafah, then obviously it's just only Yazid. Like what is
So when he left Mecca, where did he go?
Kufa?
He went to Kufa, right?
To pick up the resources to go. This is what they say.
No, that's extra. That's extra.
That is extra.
Let's just listen to let's just read what's here, okay?
Okay, please. Okay.
Here it says, وَكَانَ مِنْ قِصَّتِهِ. From the qissa is, أَنَّهُ تَوَجَّهَ مِنْ مَكَّةِ. That he came from Mecca. I'm translating it.
Okay.
طالبا, looking for. الكوفة, in Kufa. ليلي الخلافة, so he can take the Khilafah. Where was the Khilafah he wanted to take from? Kufa.
According to that Kufa, but they're saying
Sham wasn't mentioned.
Yeah.
Him going to Sham wasn't mentioned. He went to Kufa for Khilafah.
the fact that it's Alif Lam on Khilafah, does that not mean the main Khilafah? As in Yazid's Khilafah?
So when you say Ali ibn Abi Talib's Khilafah, Ali, he didn't have Khilafah?
But the statement of Imam al-Dhahabi mentions Al-Khilafah, right?
So the
Khilafah means
but
Yazid,
it says
no?
Kufa right next to it.
I know it does. Okay. It clearly does say Kufa. So the
Hussein, when he goes to Kufa, what's he going to become?
yeah, he's going to become a Khalifa. For
Khalifa.
Kufa.
That's what he's wanted to get from Kufa.
So he was going for the Khilafah.
But to say from that he was going to go to Sham,
Yeah.
that is min jaybik anta. That's from your own pocket. You're adding into the statement. That the Imam didn't say. Wallahi, akhi, this is kadib, wallahi. But it's lying and taqawul ala al-ulama. It's lying about the scholars that which they didn't say. Dangerous.
And the only reason he was going with his family is because he was going to use Kufa as a base and a capital for his governance.
Aina.
He wasn't going to leave his family in Mecca, obviously. He was going to leave him there, and then he was going to go to Yazid. Again, that requires evidence. There's nothing in here. This screenshot.
Does it
comes
even
with-
say he took an army and he was going to fight and everything?
No, it just says he was going with his family. But why would you fight the people who are giving you bay'ah? What they're saying is that the army was waiting for him in Kufa.
Who was Hussein?
Yeah, the army was waiting for Hussein in Kufa. So he's going with his family. You guys stay
But
here.
it doesn't say he was going to fight at all anyway, right?
It doesn't.
Is there anyone who mentioned him going to Sham?
I don't. Is there anything here? Just read the screenshot here. So have a
كان
look.
النعمان بن بشير الأنصاري على الكوفة. That means he was the controller. فبعث الحسين إلى مسلم بن عقيل بن أبي طالب بن عمه فقال السر إلى الكوفة فانظر ما كتبوا به إليه فإن كان حقا خرجنا إليهم. فخرج مسلم حتى أتى المدينة فأخذ منهم الدليلين فمر به في البرية فأصابهم عطش فمات أحد الدليلين وكتب مسلم إلى الحسين يستعفيه فكتب إلى الحسين أن انظر إلى الكوفة فخرج حتى قدم ونزل على رجل من عليها يقال له ابن عوسجة فلما تحدث على الكوفة That's it, خلاص.
Just go to the next page. I don't know.
The next page has got something different.
Okay.
أمر دنياه على يزيد من النعمان بن بشير فقال إنك ضعيف متضاعف وقد فسد البلاد فقال له النعمان أن أكون ضعيفا وأنا في طاعة الله أحب إلي من أن أكون قويا في معصية الله وما كنت لأحدك سترا ستره الله.
Is there anything in there?
It's exactly, wallahi, it's
What you said.
exactly what I mentioned for you.
Yeah.
The story of Nu'man ibn Bashir being the governor for Kufa and then happening that Yazid wanted somebody strong to do the issue.
So Nu'man ibn Bashir, he didn't make khuruj against Yazid because he didn't obey Yazid. Yazid told him to be strong and he didn't.
No.
Wasn't.
Huh? He didn't touch him.
Why did Yazid take him off and put Ubaydullah here instead?
Because he wanted somebody who was going to be strong in taking stances that are very strong. Hussein's issue, he needs somebody who's an outsider, who's going to deal with this a bit strongly. If he has to come to prison in Hussein, has to imprison him to radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Yazid wanted that, of course. Yeah, and Yazid was not against the idea of Hussein being in prison, stopped, but he wasn't for the idea of being killed.
Okay.
Especially when he found out that he repented and he wanted to go back.
Okay, I'm really sorry to go. I know you made it so clear in the story, and I have to go through every single if, but or maybe, but.
But you see that right here at this moment, there's no mention of him going to Kufa. I don't know where that came from. Allah.
Neither do I.
Him going to Sham.
Yeah, sorry, Sham. Yeah,
Him going to
yeah,
Sham,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. Okay. The next thing that these people bring is that did Hussein do?
By the way, Hussein could have done something else. Why does he need to go to Kufa in order to get the army? Why didn't he just tell the army to come to him in Medina and go to Kufa straight away? Or why doesn't he meet the army in the middle and they all go to Sham from there directly and take over it from Sham?
I don't know my geography, but which way is it? Like, is it opposite ways? Is it easier for them to come to him?
Yeah, I mean, it's the opposite direction. But
Wait,
what?
so Medina's
it's
here?
like this. He's going to have to go like this.
Wait, Medina's in the middle.
Medina's down.
Okay.
So he's going to go up and he's going to go right if he wants to go to Sham.
Uh-huh.
And if he wants to go, Iraq has to go straight up.
Yeah, so it's easier for him to go that way instead of them come down and then go back, no?
No, they can meet in the middle, I said. And they all go towards Sham as an army.
Okay, anyway, we're really going on to like these really strange tangents just to cover everything. You know, again, I also have to apologize for the viewers at home because you made something so clear and brought evidences for what you're saying, yet we're still having to go through these repetitive questions. And it reminds me of a statement. I don't know who the statement was attributed to, but it reminds me of a statement that it takes seconds to vomit, but it takes an hour to clean up the mess. Yeah. And I feel like that's what we're doing here. We have to go through every single thing just to clean up the mess. So the next thing they say is that Hussein did not do anything wrong shar'an. And they say Ibn Khaldun said that Hussein, and I've got the full statement, Hussein viewed that he was eligible or capable. And even it says, when Ibn Khaldun said he was capable, the word here is al-ahliyah. Is that not linked to Ahlul Khali wal Aqd?
So the statement in its original form is what I read before to you.
Yes, it is. It's the same one.
He said, لا سيما من له القدرة على ذلك وظنها من نفسه بأهليته وشوكته. He thought two things. And I proved this to you before. He believed he was the most fittest person for the role.
Yeah.
Then Yazid. لا شك ولا ريب.
Yeah. But when he says بأهليته, is that ahl there, is it a similar word to Ahlul Khali wal Aqd?
Yeah.
So, because that wasn't mentioned. The word was mentioned, ahliyah, but it wasn't, it just...
Ahliyah means he's a fittest person for the role.
He's the most capable, he's a fittest.
Because Hussein believed that Yazid is a fasiq.
Yeah.
And a fasiq should not be put in charge of the Muslims. Who is the fittest person for the role?
Hussein.
Hussein believed it was him. He was a better person for the position than? For who?
Then Yazid.
هذا لا شك فيه. Is there no going to disagree?
Of course not.
And on top of that, he believed what? وشوكته, that he had strength.
Okay, so that's what let me read it in English for the people at home. Hussein viewed that he was the most capable, which is what you said, and also that he had the right material support, so like the strength that he was, to lead the Khilafah. Ibn Khaldun then said Hussein was right in his assessment of wanting to rebel due to his ahliyah. But he made a mistake in thinking that he had the material support. And this is the English translation when I said wanting to rebel.
Where does it say wanting to rebel?
This is how it was translated.
Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Let's read what he said. He didn't say that. He said, فَكَانَتْ كَمَا ظَنَّ وَالزِّيَادَةِ وَأَمَّا الشَّوْكَةُ فَغَلَطٌ فِيهَا لأن عصبية مضر كانت في قريش وعصبية عبد مناف إنما كانت في بني أمية. So he said, فأما الأهلية فكانت كما ظن وزيادة. As for being the fit person for the role, he said, it was as he thought and more. وأما الشوكة, as for him thinking he had strength, فغلط فيها, it was a mistake in this. And then he goes into لأن عصبية مضر كانت في قريش وعصبية عبد مناف إنما كانت في بني أمية. تعرف ذلك لهم قريش وسائر الناس ولا ينكرونه وإنما نسي ذلك أول الإسلام لما شغل الناس من الذهول بالخوارق وأمر الوحي وتردد الملائكة لنصر المسلمين فأغفلوا أمور عوائدهم وذهبت عصبية الجاهلية ومنازعهم. I can't see where he said that he was right in doing khuruj.
No, it doesn't say that. To be fair, it doesn't say that. So when he says he didn't make any mistake shar'an, he didn't make any mistake religiously, he just had a valid ijtihad, and it says all these things, they are interpreting that as being khuruj is not wrong shar'an, khuruj is not wrong religiously, it's a valid issue. Do you see what I'm saying? It comes from that initial
you remember the beginning when I said يظن الغمر أن الكتب تهدي أخا فهم لإدراك العلوم وما يدري الجهول بأن فيها غوامض قد حيرت عقل الفهيم. يعني anyone who wants to seek knowledge by opening a book and reading without knowing, without reading, without understanding, that's the problem. That's the issue here we see. And in here, the statement of Ibn Khaldun does not say in any way, shape or form.
I have to go through it all because I said to myself I wasn't going to leave anything out. Ibn Khaldun goes on to say that Hussein made a mistake in his analysis of a worldly matter, and as such he was not blameworthy. Regarding his judgment of the Sharia, he was not mistaken in this, and he was of the opinion that he was in a position of sufficient power, al-Qudra, to do so. He then also says, as for the Sahabas, they believed that Khuruj against Yazid was not permissible even if he was a sinner and tyrannical due to the harm that would come out of it in terms of killing and bloodshed. However, they did not condemn him for this, nor declare him sinful, for verily he was a mujtahid and an example for the mujtahideen. And on another page he says Hussein was a martyr rewarded for his truth and ijtihad, just as those companions who didn't fight Yazid were also upon truth and ijtihad.
I believe that Hussein did ijtihad for what? Two things. When he was right in his ijtihad and when he was wrong. Hussein radiallahu anhu did ijtihad upon him being ahliya, فَأَصَابَ وَأَجَادَ He's right. He's the fittest person for the role. Him and Abdullah ibn Zubayr, Abdullah ibn Umar, and Ibn Abbas, they were fit people for the role. No shak. That's one.
Yeah.
He did another ijtihad which he was wrong in. Which is what? وَأَمَّا الشَّوْكَةِ.
He trusted the people in Kufa and they...
No, he thought he had strength. Even if they gave it to him.
Okay.
Even if the people of Kufa gave Hussein ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib bay'ah and they stuck by him and they were loyal to him, abadan. There would be a fitna in Islam that would never end. That's what Ibn Khaldun is saying. Ibn Khaldun is saying لأن عصبية مضر كانت في قريش وعصبية عبد مناف إنما كانت في بني أمية. Banu Umayyah, you can't dismiss these people. Banu Umayyah are going to be the Khilafah. If Banu Umayyah don't give you the thumbs up, your Khilafah is going to be very hard. ولذلك Bani al-Abbas, when they took over, you really think it was easy for them? Banu Umayyah was lurking around the corner. These people have strength, they have power. قبل Ibn Khaldun's kalam, I'm not going to go through all of it. Like, you know, the crux of the statement of Ibn Khaldun is that Ibn Khaldun is saying, before Nabi Muhammad came, who were the people in charge? Mudar in Quraysh. Mudar were the people. Other Quraysh were not. It was Mudar. And within Mudar was Abd Manaf. And within Abd Manaf was Bani Umayyah. Ponder here and contemplate. Banu Umayyah, they were like that. They were running the show. Everything was theirs. Nabi Muhammad came. All of that got stopped for a period of time. Revelation, Prophet of Allah. Who do you think he was? Be quiet. The Prophet of Allah is going to run everything. People forgot about Ibn Khaldun said, people forgot before Islam how things were. They forgot that. All of that went. Because of Wahy, Revelation, Malaika, Quran. Ibn Khaldun, that's what he's saying. And then when Nabi Muhammad went, what was there came back again. So Hussein, with the agreement of the people of Kufa, or not, Hussein would have never had the power of Sham.
That was a mistake.
And I told you this before.
Yeah.
Abdullah ibn Zubayr, how did why could he not take over Sham? Over every except Sham. And guess what? How did he lose? He had all of the land. Abdullah ibn Zubayr, the Prophet, the companion of the Prophet ﷺ. I already told you, Abdullah ibn Zubayr, do you know who he is? Abdullah ibn Zubayr, his mother is Asma bint Abi Bakr. His mother is Asma bint Abi Bakr. And his grandmother from his father's side is Safiya bint Abdul Muttalib. Are you with me? Zubayr ibn Awam's mother is Safiya bint Abdul Muttalib. And the wife of Zubayr ibn Awam is Asma bint Abi Bakr. And Asma bint Abi Bakr gave birth to who? Urwa ibn Zubayr and Abdullah ibn Zubayr and all of this. They used to enter upon Aisha radiallahu anha because she was maternal auntie.
Noble companion.
So what I'm trying to say to you is, with that companion, he was Abdullah ibn Zubayr, he couldn't take over Sham. And guess what? Quickly, when Muawiyah ibn Yazid ibn Muawiyah died, Marwan ibn Hakam took over. Look how quickly he took over lands from him. And then when Abdul Malik ibn Marwan came, straight away took over everything. It was very weak. Bani Umayyah were like that. So Hussein's judgment was wrong. This part, his ijtihad was wrong. That's why we keep saying he did ijtihad. He did ijtihad thinking he had shawka. He never had shawka. But did Hussein do ijtihad on khuruj? Hati dalil.
Okay, and again, so just to simplify for the people at home, all of Ibn Khaldun's statements do not go against what you're saying in any way, shape or form. They're actually in line with what you're saying. They're actually perfectly in line with what you're saying. But the misunderstanding was that Hussein did khuruj. And if someone says that
I'm not saying I've read all of Ibn Khaldun's kalam.
No, sorry, the ones that I've mentioned today.
The one that you just have right now in front of you doesn't say that. This statement doesn't say that.
Yeah. And for what about the one who says that the same Ibn Khaldun, in the same statements, he mentioned the word khuruj. So he was talking about khuruj clearly. To that we've already responded. And secondly, it could have been khuruj in leaving. It doesn't mean khuruj like that.
No, but he means khuruj Hussein.
He does.
He said al-khuruj ala Yazid.
Okay, so if that's the case, then what if in the same statement that he's mentioned he didn't do anything wrong shar'an, he mentioned he did khuruj against Yazid?
No. He said فَأَمَّا الْأَهْلِيَّةُ فَكَانَتْ كَمَا ظَنَّ وَزِيَادَةً. He said him thinking his ahliyah, he was right and more. He didn't say khuruj. He said وَأَمَّا الشَّوْكَةُ فَغَلَطٌ.
So in this statement, he's mentioned the word khuruj and he's saying that he didn't do anything wrong shar'an.
So فَتَبَيَّنَ لَكَ, what became clear to you is غَلَطُ الْحُسَيْنِ, the Husayn's mistake. What was his mistake?
The dunya mistake.
Shawka.
Yeah.
No, him thinking he had shawka.
Okay.
Strength and power. He was wrong in that. إلا أنه في أمر دنيوي لا يضر الغلط فيه. وأما الحكم الشرعي,
Yeah.
which is فلم يغلط فيه لأنه منوط بظنه. But the thing that he thought شرعا he was أهلية. He thought he meant the qualities and the characteristics of a what? Of the right imam. يعني عدالة, الإسلام, العقل, قريش and everything. He meant that quality. وكان ظنه القدرة على ذلك. And he believed he had the power to do that. ولهذا عدله ابنه. And he goes on. Here it does not say وأما الحكم الشرعي في ظنه أن الخروج جائز. So جايبك. I'm saying the حكم الشرعي here he means is what he mentioned before, which is أهليته, believing that he was a fit person for the role. That's a حكم شرعي, by the way, you know that, right?
Oh, really?
Of course it is. To think that you're the person for the role is حكم شرعي. The Sharia set the criteria for the leader. And Hussein felt that this حكم شرعي applies on him. I'm the fit person for the role. I have the quality, I have the ahliyah. Ibn Khaldun said he's right on that. And it's true, he was right on that. He was wrong on the issue of feeling that he had strength and power and ability. That was wrong. He didn't have it.
Okay. And when he's mentioning about the khuruj, it's just in the context of what he believes is this. He's contextualized in the events, and he's saying that the khuruj of Hussein against Yazid is what I'm talking about here. But he doesn't mention that the khuruj was correct or anything like that. He doesn't say the khuruj was correct. He says the only thing that was correct was him believing he was the right person for the job.
That's what it looks like, yes.
Okay.
Plus, Ibn Khaldun is not a proof for me, Aslan. What he meant and what he believed and how his view was is irrelevant for me. And if he understood it from that. Ibn Khaldun is like, that's you understand, you're from the mutaakhirin.
Yeah. Okay. Next thing is the advice of the companions. Something you mentioned before as well. When the companions advised Hussein not to go to Iraq, why didn't they mention all the many ahadith you spoke about in Sahih Muslim?
Because Hussein didn't do khuruj.
Yeah, I know. Okay, I have to go through it again. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri advised Hussein not to go towards Kufa, not based on any religious reason. He said, "For verily I heard your father say when he was in Kufa, by Allah I blame them and I hate them and they blame me and they hate me." Abdullah ibn Mutayy' said to Hussein, "Do not do this. May my mother and father be sacrificed to you. Do not go to the people of Iraq, for I swear by Allah, they will kill you. These people have betrayed us." Ibn Abbas said to him, "Where do you want to go, O son of Fatima?" Hussein said, "To Iraq and to my party of people." Ibn Abbas said to him, "I hate to say this to your face, but you are going to the people who killed your father and slandered your brother," and he advised him not to go based on that. Abu Waqi' al-Laythi said, "Do not go to Iraq, for you will only be going there to kill yourself." To which Hussein replied, "Then I will not return." Jabir ibn Abdullah, he said, "I spoke to Hussein and I said, fear Allah and do not cause some of the people to strike others. By Allah, I do not praise what you are doing." But he did not listen to me. So the reason they're bringing all of these is to show you that Hussein was on khuruj. This is again what they believe, and these companions never advised him of the hadith, which means of the narrations of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which means that khuruj is not a religious matter. So the reason why they're bringing these arguments is that they're saying all of these companions who advised Hussein not to do, and according to them, again it goes back to that flawed foundation. They believe he's going to do khuruj. All of the companions advise him, not based on any ahadith from Sahih Muslim like you mentioned earlier, but just don't. It's going to be a greater harm. Is basically what they're saying.
You see, what were they all advising him? Don't go to what? Kufa.
Yeah.
Because the people of Kufa does not give Hussein shawka. For two reasons I already mentioned to you. First of all, these people are known to deceive. They're liars. They've deceived your father. Why do you not think they're not going to deceive you? That's one. That's one point. The first point. The second point is that Banu Umayyah, Ibn Umar, and Ibn Abbas and these people, they're older than Hussein, so they have more knowledge of the historical reality that took place.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't go around Banu Umayyah. Banu Umayyah are rooted in leadership.
But they're saying, why didn't they mention the hadith about khuruj, which I think needs a. I know it's
the
very.
issue wasn't.
We've said that like 100 times, but honestly, you have to really drill it home. I feel like this, I believe, is actually something that they've brought to the table, which actually is strongest proof in your favor. Because if they believe that there's a difference of opinion, then maybe there's, I don't know, 5-6 companions here who have advised Hussein not to go. If it's a valid difference of opinion, maybe 3 of them believe that this khuruj is not permissible, 3 of them believed it was. You'd maybe get one companion who mentioned that hadith. the fact that not one single companion mentioned the hadith about how khuruj is not permissible, it just shows that they, like you said many times, they recognize that this is not a khuruj. This is not a khuruj.
And that proves the point that the people who came later to document this situation, they started to allude to this concept of khuruj and khuruj and khuruj, like the Rafida who wrote things on it. Okay?
Yeah.
And those who came after from Ahlul Sunnah who wrote things on this, they started to mention the concept of khuruj. Like, it wasn't what Hussein did, radiallahu ta'ala.
And again, just to bring back into what we mentioned earlier, Abdullah ibn Umar, when he advised people later on, he said, don't do khuruj.
Yeah.
And he did mention the hadith. He mentioned the hadith. The fact is here, he didn't, because again, he didn't see it to be a khuruj like none of the companions did. So I actually think this is an argument that they bring, but actually supports what you've said so far. The last thing they say, and I'm not going to even warrant this with a response because we already covered it earlier, is they say Hussein did not make Tawbah, rather he was forced into it. And again, we've already covered the answer for that. I don't think you need to add anything to that. Yes, okay. That's Hussein done. This is the strongest argument that they bring forward, the action of Hussein. And they're misunderstood. And again, it goes back to what I believe is misunderstanding basic things and then building arguments on top of that. They've misunderstood that he's from Ahlul Khali wal Aqd. They've misunderstood that he never gave bay'ah to Yazid, therefore it can't be khuruj. They've misunderstood that all the people who advised him not to go were advising him not on khuruj at all because they knew it wasn't a khuruj. They've misunderstood that he made tawbah at the end, so this can't be used as an argument anyway. It's just misunderstanding built on misunderstanding. And they misunderstood that the Khilafah of Yazid at that time, it was not like nowadays where you go to a country and it's already established. He didn't have control over Kufa, evidented by the people given bay'ah or to Muslim ibn Aqil on behalf of Hussein. It's like two different Muslim countries. It's just, and you know, like I said, if they desperately want to cling on to this issue still, you've said many times, who knows if the action of Hussein is not a dalil in our religion anyway. And he made tawbah from it. I don't know what else I can say. I really don't. It's just, I think you've covered it from so many different angles. I don't know where else to go from here. Okay, we're now going to go into the qissa of Abdullah ibn Az-Zubair. And we've already spoken a little bit about him when we spoke about the story of Hussein radiallahu anhu. The first things that they bring around this is exactly the same as what we've covered before, that the word khuruj is mentioned by the likes of Ibn Khaldun as well as other than him, Ibn Wazir al-Yamani as well. So they've mentioned these terms in their books for when describing the events that took place around Ibn Zubair radiallahu anhuma, and they say that he did khuruj. I don't think we even need to go over this unless you really want to, but it's exactly the same things that we've answered with the story of Hussein. So I don't even think we need to go through this, inshallah. In fact, it's even the exact same quotes as well.